Sure. I thought you were already recording.
Not yet. Red light's on, now we're recording.
Oh, okay.
Welcome to the Wonton Wednesday podcast. Daniel Babcock.
Hi.
No, I'm not, I swear.
Yes, you are. On life.
I'm actually not, but your wife did just feed me a non-laced brownie, so I don't know how I feel about life.
Because we're very straight-laced people.
That's okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I actually don't do weed anymore.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I haven't been drunk in like 6 years. Maybe 7.
I've had... my running joke is that I have like a beer per fiscal quarter.
Wow.
But it's slightly more than that, but like I basically don't drink. But if like, you know, I'm at a place and like something going on, it's like, yeah, sure, I'll have a beer. Or if like go to a fancy dinner, it's like, yeah, sure, I'll have a beer.
Yeah,
or a glass of wine or something, but like I'm not getting shit housed.
No. If you saw the bottle of whiskey in there, it's my first bottle of whiskey in like a year and a half, 2 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I don't know if it's actually good or if it's just because it's been so long. I'm like, ooh, this is delicious. I have my little like.
I did see it, and I'm like, Japanese word, Suntory whiskey. I'm like, oh, nice. Yeah. Probably pretty good.
It might be. I'm not sure. I may just not know what I'm doing anymore.
The last whiskey I had was a 18 or a 20-year Scotch.
Ooh, okay.
Yes. And it was really good, and I had it with a buddy of mine who is really into Scotch, and he said, this is really good, but I would not pay what you paid for this bottle. I'm like, well, you also go through it like it's water.
I bought a Blue Label bottle one time in Germany. I went to an army base and had it on sale, so it was like the giant bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So it was only like $200.
Only?
Yeah. And what I discovered is wasn't worth it. It's like I can't tell the difference between this and like Jameson.
It all tastes like lighter fluid at some point.
It's like I feel like I should be respecting this more because it's supposed to be good, but it's like I can't tell the difference. I'm never spending this kind of money again.
I feel like when I was like, 18 to 23 and in the Marines, I'm like, this is pure lighter fluid, just whatever. Like I'd rather have a rum and Coke or a beer or something. And like 20 of them for $1 each.
I remember you one time were trying to convince me to take shots of 151 in the barracks.
Yeah.
I refused, and I'm pretty sure Stumball was asleep, quote unquote, on the bunk, like because I think he had a few.
There was many.
I remember he was asleep, and you were trying very hard to convince me to try one, and I was just like, no.
If I know myself, which I do, you probably were not the only one I was trying to convince.
No. I think this was probably like an hour after a 40-20 show, too. I feel like this was something like...
We should probably backtrack maybe just a little bit and explain...
what we're talking about?
At least the Barracks 40-20 evening show, which is the full name of it.
Pardon me.
The full name was the Barracks 40-20 Evening Show, and I would scream like a television host, welcome to the Barracks 40-20 Evening Show, into one microphone connected to a bass guitar amplifier that I had, which was a 120-watt Rogue 15-inch subwoofer amplifier. And mine and Ryan's friend, Nate, who was a Huey and Cobra engine mechanic, so he worked down at Mal's.
Mm-hmm.
His were, do you remember they were new barracks for H&S, and they were the farthest ones, but they were close to like I guess it was called the back gate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it was way down there. It's like, I can hear you guys perfectly from my room. I'm like, yes.
Is it the barracks that had the bagpipe, dude? Or was
think
that closer to us?
Unsure.
Okay.
I just know where his barracks were, and I know he's like, I can hear you guys perfectly when you do that. And I'm just like, yes, this is amazing. We're going to be so famous. We just got in trouble.
Did you?
We got yelled at by whoever was on duty that night. That we got drunk enough and decided to start hosting the Barracks 4020 evening show.
You did it quite a few times, though. I remember at least
We
once
did.
I was like some absurd hour of the day, and it's like I'm in my room above y'all's room, and it's just like I'm sound asleep, and all of a sudden, rah!
Well, it was like the middle of the barracks, and like right outside the room was the barracks air conditioner. So like, you know, I couldn't hear myself.
Is it an air
obviously.
conditioner if it doesn't work?
It
it was probably working at that time.
It was fans.
Okay.
There was at least the fans going off. Because it was the heating/cooling unit for the barracks.
I mean, it worked most of the time we were there, I think.
And I do believe, because I did see Hawes when I was down in North Carolina for New Year's, Barracks 4020 is no longer a place.
Did they bulldoze it?
We probably just left too many bad vibes and they got rid of it, or it was too old and
I
decrepit.
mean, there was black mold coming out of my air vents in the bathrooms of
So-
both rooms I lived in there. So
You remember our hangar building, AS 504?
yeah, that's gone, right?
Yes, that is gone. And do you know the main reason why they got rid of it?
It was probably asbestos or something worse.
So there was all the things that was wrong with the building, and like, you know, the seagulls or whatever they were, like shitting in the hangar bay doors.
I
like,
remember that well.
and like, you know, the massive amount of cockroaches, and it was just a decrepit building. But it was getting to the point where if the building were to stay standing for, I believe it was like 50 years or something like that, it would be had to have been marked like a national like register or like something where it'd be a protected building because of its age. So like we have to get rid of it, and we want to use this area for what is now, I believe it's called the mega hangar area, as they explained it to me. And I'm just like, I don't know what a mega hangar is, but cool.
I feel like I need to get on Google Earth and look at this and see what it looks like now.
I mean, you're only going to see the top.
I mean, yeah,
So you're just like, oh yeah, I do remember that section of Flightline, and this all looks different.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
So, I mean, last time I looked at Google Earth, I looked like every couple of years. I'll look at something like that and like places I've been, and like, oh, I was just curious what it looks like, kind of closer to now. Because back when we lived there, I remember like I think it was Google Earth. It was whatever their current version of was at the time.
Yes.
And I like looked at it, and like you could still see like all the stains on the flight line from when like one squadron was a 46 squadron.
Uh-huh.
You could tell like what birds had been there everywhere because of the shape of the stains.
I do remember that too. I've looked at that. On Google Earth, my old house that me and Ryan first moved into, and he moved out of the barracks because I moved out before him, when we lived on Hunting Green Drive, still has my car in the driveway.
Oh, nice.
I haven't lived there since 2007.
It's like a blue Dodge thing.
Yeah, my Dodge Caliber. And I think
that.
Mike Isaac's car is like in the front yard.
Wow. So it's for 15 years old. Okay.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Well, that was the last time I checked. I don't know if it's still like that.
Yeah. Okay. So it's probably been updated since then, maybe.
Hopefully, but like I looked, like I want to say it was pre-pandemic, so like 18, 19 maybe.
Okay.
It's probably the last time I looked. Like, I know it's not recent. So now that we've said your name and said a bunch of drinking stories, would you like to introduce yourself?
No. Hi, I'm Daniel.
My name's
I like
Daniel.
long
I'm a
walks on the
Sagittarius.
What's a Sagittarius? Oh, I'm the crab one.
Cancer.
Yeah, there we go. I'm a Cancer. Yes. I don't know what that means.
It means sometimes you claw at people.
It means I'm delicious.
I believe the symbol is like 69, actually, but it's sideways. Because Ryan's a Cancer too, so I know this.
Is it 69 sideways, or is it two tadpoles swimming in a circle?
I don't know, because it's also a crab, and crabs don't have tadpoles.
So none of
But
it makes
after
any
you
sense.
become a tadpole, you can get crabs if you're with some skeezy people.
Yeah. Well, especially if you live in Jacksonville. Anyway.
It's pronounced Jacksonville.
Fair.
I like to say it that way.
People used to call it what? J Vegas?
Yeah.
Or
Actionville.
Jacksonville.
No, not no J, just Actionville.
Oh, okay. Actionville. That's right.
Because if you're from somewhere in the middle of absolutely nowhere, where your closest neighbor is 7 miles away in any direction, there is a lot of action in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Very little of it's good, but...
This is very true.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun, though, and sometimes it's not. A lot of times it's questionable to your morals and your mental health and your physical health.
I haven't heard in a few years, but it was at least a year or two ago, somebody told me that the Ninja is still operating in full swing.
Oh my God.
Down near, what was it, the Sunset Inn?
Western Boulevard, I believe.
Yeah. They told me he was still going. So, it's like the Energizer Bunny.
He was a fantastic human being.
Yeah. Did you ever actually talk to him?
No, but I know many people that did.
Yeah, I never stopped to talk to him. It just exchanged waves many times.
He should be put on the National Landmark of Treasures.
I think somebody should find out what his real story is.
I've
heard everything from, it's like, oh, he's just your standard crackhead, to like, oh, he's a retired Marine that like got a little burned out on some chemical. Like, I've heard all kinds of variations. So
I think he's just a dude that kind of exhibitionist, and maybe he had done some drugs, but like he didn't look like he had time to like have a full-time drug habit, because he was out there like all the time, most days. Like,
I suppose I should explain what we're talking about. It's this guy who stood on the side of the road and did like little karate, taekwondo looking moves, kung fu. I don't know what it was. Is some combination of like all those things. Just stood there doing it, usually shirtless.
Look up
ripped dude, and he did it.
Yeah,
he was there every day.
His name is Radio the Jacksonville Ninja.
Yeah. Okay. There.
And like, I don't know his real name, but his name like it's just like, call me Radio, dog. It's like, all right, you're Radio.
Yeah, so if you Google search,
I see you. I see that you
Ninja.
Identify as Radio, and I respect that, sir.
Yeah. Just Google Jacksonville Ninja. You'll figure it out. I'm sure there's enough stuff about him.
Oh, yeah. There's pictures, memes, probably short videos. I'm sure somebody could find, like, some sort of a news article or something on him. Like, there's got to be something.
Yeah.
So anyways, when did you go in the Marine Corps?
April 2005. I went to that delightful little place called Paris Island. The summer vacation of America.
That sounds like a spring vacation in April.
It was fantastic.
Spring break, Paris Island, 2005?
Yeah, 2005. So
did they give you a T-shirt for that?
No.
Oh, I didn't get one either, and I went for summer.
No, I did get a T-shirt from the guy who signed me up for it, though. A few months before.
Oh, the recruiter.
Yeah, the recruiter.
So what?
I often told people when they asked me why I joined, like, oh, I got this awesome T-shirt. It's like, they gave me this free T-shirt. Why wouldn't I join? And people would look at me like I was nuts because...
So you were past graduating high school and like...
I was like almost a year out of high school.
So what was the catalyst for going in at that time frame?
So I had originally wanted to join because college was too expensive and I was not an academic superstar.
I feel that.
So I just had like zero care about school, and a bad attitude. So I had a couple of classes where I played the game where I intentionally like wanted to see how close my score could get to failing. Because I was like, that was the only entertainment I found in the class was like, how can I manage my GPA in this class to like get it exactly on the dot? How can I do the least amount of work to just pass the class? And I was like playing
minimum effort, maximum results.
Yeah. So I put a lot of work into doing the least amount of work in several classes.
That's great.
Anyway, so college was too expensive, and I didn't feel like going into debt for that because I'd listened to way too much Dave Ramsey radio in high school.
All right.
In the car, yeah. Me and my dad used to listen to Dave Ramsey radio, so I, debt and credit cards, evil. I have a credit card now. Don't tell anyone.
I won't.
Wait. Oops. Oh, well. Anyway.
He does not have a credit card.
Yeah,
it's cash only.
Yeah.
Don't rob him.
Only.
He has a gun.
No, I don't care. The Dave Ramsey thing, like a lot of it's good, but a lot of it's a little out there. Anyway.
It's extremist because he likes to help people in extreme circumstances.
Yeah. And it works. So it does work for a lot of people. Like, a lot of what he teaches is really smart and simple for people to do.
But he also lives in Brentwood.
Yes.
Which is an expensive section of the Nashville area.
Yeah. And has a lot of fancy offices and insists on all of his people coming to work at the office, even though they don't need to.
Yeah.
And underpays his developers.
That's how
anyway.
you get more money, is by underpaying and screwing people out of money.
Anyway, so joining the Marine Corps. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I was trying to figure out where we were. You have to keep me on track because my ADD stories are start in the middle and go.
I have
back
those too, and I will try.
Yeah. Go back to the beginning for context, and then forget where we were going. So
didn't like college.
Yeah. I didn't think it was a great idea. I got a full scholarship to a local tech school, and my family really didn't want me to join the military, and I was trying to keep my family happy for some reason because I love and respect them, I guess. And so I was like, okay, I'll go do this auto tech school thing. I like cars. Maybe I'll like working on cars. I am a horrible technician. It's like, you can tell me what part is wrong and I can change it, but trying to figure out what's wrong with a modern system, especially if there's wires involved, no. World's worst technician.
That's what avionics is for, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
In auto tech, you have to do it all, so.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so I did that for like most of a year, but I was also working at a factory on nights. So I was like working 8 hours a night in Gordonsville, Tennessee, going to school in Livingston, Tennessee, and living in Salina, Tennessee. And so I was doing 8 hours at work, 7-ish hours at school, and about 3 hours on the highway round trip. So about...
That's 25 hours in a day.
No. About 3 hours round trip, 7 hours at school. It's 10 hours and about 8 hours at work. So it's 18 hours.
I'm not a math magician, but that's too much.
Yeah. Anyway, I was like doing that, and it was like less than a year later, I was just like burned out because I didn't really care about the auto tech thing. And I was like, It's like I still have this recruiter's number. I still want to do this because I really wanted to do. I actually joined the Marine Corps wanting to do M.S.G. specifically. Because
we'll get there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's why I picked the Marine Corps. That, and also it's like I was like I don't know, not the most athletic kid. Just kind of grew up like a weak kid a little bit, and I was like, I have something to prove.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, I guess maybe that's what it was. So, anyway, so I call the recruiter, like, yeah, come talk to us, blah blah, and it's like a few days later, it's like I'm like. Go to, or a week or two later, I'm like, go to meet my mom somewhere, and I'm like, hey, do you have a copy of my birth certificate? I don't have that. And she's like,
nice.
Yeah, I can get you a copy. What do you need this for? It's like, I'm going to Nashville with this Marine guy, to this place called MEPS to do some things. So my parents had been divorced for years at this point, but it's like she immediately like called my dad, and by the time he like called me on my little Nokia brick cell phone that I had, it was my first cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, early 2005, and he like calls me when I'm in the like minivan with the recruiter on the way to Nashville, and he's like, where are you at right now? It's like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm signing up for the Marines.
Nice.
He's like, why are you doing this? Like, because I want to. Something. It's like, well, I could kill you as easily as some foreigner could kill you. Like, why? This is a horrible idea. It's like, I'm doing it. So my family absolutely hated it. And then, my dad, by the time I graduated, like, Paris Island, of course, had like my son as a Marine sticker on his truck, and like,
oh, did he buy like all the stuff at the
like
island?
The red hat, the stupid red hat.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a strong statement. I fully don't support it, but I loved laughing at people that have that now.
Yeah. And
I'm like, good for you.
It's hilarious though, because I've met a lot of guys who are like, yeah, my family hated it. They thought it was the stupidest idea ever, and by the time they show up for your graduation at boot camp, they're like all moto.
I had the exact opposite family.
Yeah.
But before I even signed up, both my brothers were in the Army.
Right.
So, like, it's just kind of like, They're like, do you want to join the Army when you're graduating high school? I'm like, no, I don't think I'm gonna. And then saw a Marine recruiter, and I'm like, well, that looks right for me, actually.
Yeah.
And they were very unhappy with my choice. Don't know why, still don't. And then a few years later, my sister joined the Navy. So, like, it was just kind of like, yeah, cool. This is what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, the military in general is like a great opportunity for people, especially if they don't have, all the, I guess, what do you call it? They don't have economic propulsion to get out there. So it's a good thing to do. I also don't never going to hold it against anybody to not join, because I don't know. I've met a lot of people. I'm sure you meet people who are like, man, I wish I had joined, blah, 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 or, I almost joined kind of thing. But it's like, I didn't feel like I could do it or whatever. And it's just like, I don't care that you didn't join. I've
met a few, and like the ones that stick out to me are like, I couldn't because of this medical condition. The ones that are like, oh, I could have or I would have, but like I didn't. And like anyone like that, like I might remember them for like a week.
Yeah.
Or that they said that to me for like a week. But like, that's just one of those things where I'm like, has anyone ever said that to me? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I've met quite a few people that are like, they wanted to join or they did, and they just kind of like regret having never done it. And it's like, it's okay. It doesn't matter. You didn't do it. You're fine.
You missed out on some camouflage, bud.
You missed out on some things, but whatever. It's like
we got some alcohol and poop stories.
Yeah, it's just not for everybody. It really isn't. It shouldn't be. So
then,
anyway.
How'd you pick Air Wing? Or did it get picked for you?
No. So unlike you.
Yes, with my magical open contract.
Your fun open contract story. Thanks for telling me that. I never knew that story before. That's hilarious.
I did not tell a lot of people.
That's okay. So because I had a nice squeaky clean record, because I was like a super straight-laced kid, I didn't discover beer till the Marine Corps.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I somehow avoided all the drugs and alcohol, even though I lived in Methville, Tennessee.
Is that the actual name of the town?
No, it's called Salina.
It's a believable name.
Anyway, population.
I heard there's one in Indiana, too.
Probably. They probably call it Salina, though. Oh,
I meant Methville.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm sure Indiana has to have one.
Yeah.
I think Ohio has several. Anyway.
One per county, it's law.
Right, okay. So, anyway, so I had a nice clean record, so my recruiter, even though I was like a scrawny, weak kid, he tried to sign me up for Presidential Guard, because he's like, you can get this clearance, the clearance you need, those top secret, whatever. And it's like, yeah, and it's like, okay, cool. So, but it was like, so it's a week or two after they start all this process, and I've signed up, and like, okay, my parents got a little over how mad they are at me for joining without telling them, even though I'm a legal adult at this point. But like, I just didn't like consult them, just did it on my own. Anyway,
nice.
I didn't want them to talk me out of it. So where was I going? Oh yeah. But anyway, my dad's like, well, maybe you should like at least do like a job where you learn some skills, blah, blah, blah. And so like after a while, I'm like, go back to my recruiter. It's like, can I switch jobs? Just like something else. He's like, he didn't like it, but he's like, I got this thing in Air Wing over here. Like, you can work on aircraft. It was like, okay. It wasn't a specific, I don't think you signed up for anything specific. It was just like a general aviation thing. You have no idea what they're going to do with you, really. It was just like, you're going to go work on an aircraft. I don't know. So it's like, okay, cool. So it was not an open contract, but it was like something
Air Wing contract.
Something Air Wing maintenance.
Okay.
So I don't know if they sign you up by like series of MOSs, like 60 or. I have no idea how that works. I don't know. Anyway, but I
know a couple of guys have explained it to me, and they're like, so I signed up for like aircraft, and then they actually had me specify down like if I wanted avionics, flight line, or airframes and hydraulics. And I'm just like, oh, that's wild.
I don't remember having any clue like specifically what.
I wouldn't have either.
It was just like, I want to work on jets or something cool.
I don't think you can pick your aircraft.
No, you can't. Not at all.
No.
And they told me that. They're like, no, we can sign you up to work on aircraft, though. It's like, so okay, we did that. Anyway, so you go to boot camp, you go to MCT, and I guess we were talking about this earlier. So MCT is where you find out what your MOS number is, I think?
Yes.
because they're about to ship you off to your first school. So
Yeah, so you get your MOS number there, or at least like a general series, I think.
Yeah.
But I remember vividly getting like the full 4-digit number, not like 6150, which would have been Airframes and Hydraulics General.
Yeah.
I remember there being a number, the
Right.
last digit, and that number I now know is 6. So 6156 was our MOS number. And that number, when I looked at the board of like where your MOS number is and what the job title is, was between rotary wing airframes and hydraulics and fixed wing airframes and
Yeah.
hydraulics. And I'm just like, this number isn't on here. I don't have an actual job. I don't know what's going on.
I don't think at MCT we found out the actual, like, I think it was just airframes and hydraulics, because the school they send you to after that's really in Pensacola is super general.
Yeah, so
it's just
I got recycled at Pensacola because I failed the portion where you build the wing section.
I got failed during hydraulics and recycled.
So I got
had to catch
recycled
up
in the
back
wing
to
section.
Coburn and Nosek and
Guess what I did to fail? I had an extra rivet.
An extra rivet.
I had an extra rivet.
Like you mean like an extra one in your hand because you forgot to put one in, or you put like a whole extra rivet into something?
So you know the leading edge where you're supposed to have your rivet pitch and rivet distance and whatever all that is?
Mm-hmm.
I had an extra rivet in there.
Oh.
There was a very specific staff sergeant. I don't remember his name. I remember his arm tattoo and that he worked on EA-6B Prowlers, who was so mad that there was an extra rivet in there that he drop kicked specifically my wing section and then graded it.
Wow, that's mature.
Oh, yeah. I'm just like, well, this guy also did not like me because one weekend he told us, or one Friday before the weekend, he told us we were not allowed to come back with tattoos that weekend. And what did I do? But I came back with that one right there that I drew. So people who know me, this is the one on my right arm, which is the multicolored girl with the star behind it. I drew that tattoo. And then I got it put on me, and he was very fucking pissed. So he walked me into the master sergeant's office, and the master sergeant at Pensacola basically said, there's no Marine Corps order saying that he can't get a tattoo there. Mm-hmm. Have a nice day, Marines.
Yeah. Because back then we could have
Get out
sleeves.
of here, PFC with staff sergeant. And like, why are you wasting my time? He's like, I told him he couldn't have it. It's a lawful order. It's like, no, it's not. That's not a lawful order.
It has to be a lawful regulation for it to be a lawful order. Like,
telling him you're under 21, you can't drink is a lawful order. Telling him he can't have a tattoo when he's very obviously 18 and Marine Corps regulations say it ends here, because at that time it did, is not stop wasting my time, get out of here. And so after that, that guy was gunning for me. And then I just handed him all the ammunition he needed with that extra rivet.
Nice. Yeah. I got dropped because of something in hydraulics. I think I failed a written test because the hydraulics section just confused me. It's like the bubble chasing section.
I almost got dropped again or rolled back again for the when you went and did like the trainer stuff and they like hid the FOD around the aircraft and like try and find it.
Oh.
It's like you got like 60 seconds to go look, and then
you missed the 10mm bolt I hid in
I
inside
put 5
the other
things
shiny
on
chrome
there.
sections.
I put 5 things in there. Where did you find? And you have 30 seconds to look. It's like, I have no idea. Like every time I'm just like, I have no idea.
Yeah. No.
Surrender that chair.
Okay.
Okay. Which one do you want?
Oh, we're doing a recording thing.
It's called a podcast.
It's called the podcast. It's okay. I didn't tell you. Hello, everyone. Meet Rachel.
Hi, Rachel, Daniel's wife.
Anyway.
They can't see your middle finger. She's
Anyway.
flicking us off and very angry.
Oh, you want the nice chair. Okay. Here you go.
I'm not going to go into details why, but thank you.
You need the nice chair. It's fine.
I had a baby. Give me a break.
I'll take this tiny little camping chair.
It'll keep you awake.
Keeps me awake, yes.
Pensacola stories, that's where we were.
Oh, okay. Yeah, anyway, that place was weird. Because in general, the schools and at least the Air Wing I found to be really weird. And they get uptight about weird things like your tattoo, which was perfectly fine at the time. When I got to North Carolina after that schoolhouse, we weren't supposed to buy a car while we were in the schoolhouse.
which
Like-
I did.
Which I did, and what was his name? Staff Sergeant Dyke.
I don't remember him.
He got really mad at me. He was a guy from Louisiana, had like a super Cajun accent. If I remember right. I think he was from Louisiana. He'd say "maju" instead of "module."
I don't remember him.
Anyway,
no.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's all. I don't remember who the other instructor was anymore. But anyway, I bought a car off of a family member, like a beater, for like $1,000 in cash. And I think their rule was because they didn't want you going out in Jacksonville and buying a
That was
V6
because
Mustang
of
at
me.
26% interest.
By the way, that was because of me.
Oh, okay. You're the one.
I bought a Oldsmobile Alero. Everything should have been fine, and I did not know it, but it had a broken head gasket. And shit, I don't remember the staff sergeant's name, who was like my class leader, quote unquote. I could look at a picture that I know I have and find it out for you. But like the one that I dealt with day to day was Mayrand.
Oh, okay.
So like he was like always in our class and like like teaching us the lessons and stuff because it was just kind of like whatever. But yeah, like that staff sergeant was like my class leader or whatever. Like took me back to that fucking place and then like was yelling at the car dealer. I'm like, this is so cool, but it doesn't help me.
Yeah, no.
It's still have a broken head gasket.
Yeah. They don't have to do anything about it.
So Haas and Malashevsky like helped me replace it basically.
Nice. You go to the little on-base thing and shop and...
No, we took it to Dishler's house.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like after like a year.
Nice. Anyway, yeah, so I had to like eventually tell them like, okay, it was a gift. The car was a gift.
Jesus.
It's like, this is like after I had told him like it's like I paid $1,000 cash for it. Like I can afford that. It's like, yes, I'm a poor like PFC, but yes, I can afford this. I paid money that I had. They're like, it's mine now. I don't owe any weird money on it. Like no predatory interest rates.
Yeah.
It is. He's like, and you're like, no, you're not allowed to buy a car while you're here. So eventually had to be like, nope. Okay, fine. It was a gift. A family member gave it to me. I lied about paying for it. Anyway, sorry. So that's skipping ahead. Pensacola, that was a cool place. The only thing I really miss about that schoolhouse is that wing section thing you were talking about. I thought was really cool, and I was mad we didn't get to keep it.
That would have been cool if we could
Because
have kept
they only
it.
let the like guy who did the best on it keep it, and the rest of us had to like throw them in the trash.
I don't remember if they let anyone in my class because like I did that section twice. So I did it with one group of people. Everyone from that class got some other aircraft. Then I got rolled into the class that I went through the New River Schoolhouse with. So that's Ozcan, Delacruz, Martinez, Byers, Dishler. Probably said Ozcan already.
Yeah.
But that's just because I love him, so I'll say him again. Like all those guys. And we all went, like that entire class went from Pensacola to New River. Like it was just like, weird.
Yeah.
I'm just like, because like the class, because like, you get rolled back 2 weeks because it's a 2-week course. So I got put in with those guys. All of those guys went, so like I got a buddy. Did you ever meet Tim Hum when he came through 204 because his unit came to Ospreys? I started with him in Pensacola.
I can't picture a face. I don't
he was
remember
a
the name. So.
Big dude.
We had a lot of people go through there, though.
Yeah. So I think he was 162.
Okay.
Think.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he was from 162. But yeah, he went 46s. One of my buddies, Goff, he's still in. He went Hueys and Cobras. There's 2 girls.
My roommates
maybe
from
only
Pensacola
one.
went to Cobras and Hueys.
Lucky.
And they both got to go on like they were both on New River, and whichever unit they went to like took them on like fun flights like their first like 2 weeks there.
Nice.
And and I'm over here at 204, and I didn't get to go on a flight till I'd been there for like almost 2 years, and we went to that factory tour.
I didn't go on one until we did op eval when we were at VMX, and we flew off the boat.
Yeah.
So when we did shipboard test and evaluation, we flew off.
Yeah. I had a friend who
was
was in the
like,
National Guard, and she got to fly on an Osprey before I did, and I worked on them.
I always did find that weird. I'm like, how come they don't ever let us fly in these?
Yeah, it's like, would it make people a little more motivated, maybe?
Like, hey, this is what you get to do, and this is why. Like, this is all the like work you put in is like getting this thing in the air, and oh look, you get to like enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Yeah. So, all right. Sorry about the barking. The mail came, so the dogs
That's
have to
fine.
bark at the mailman. It's their
I'd
tradition.
bark at the mailman too.
When we hear sirens at night, they sometimes howl. So occasionally it's fun to like fake howl and get the dogs riled up because they'll do that. Uh, the kid really likes it, so
I do too. I mean, I approve of all those games.
it's kind of fun having a kid though because I can be really dumb and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's like I have like a legitimate excuse to be dumb, so
Yeah.
and have fun.
Don't take it too far because, like, you know, there are those things where it's like, oh, eventually I have to like convince it I'm its father and a responsible adult.
Yeah, and also I don't want her to like go to like daycare later when she starts talking more and just randomly starts howling every time she hears a siren.
Or worse, talking like a Marine.
I'm doing better about that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Rachel mostly has to give me the mom eye for saying like weird phrases that I shouldn't say in front of a kid more than actual cuss words. So
Yeah.
I'm better about containing those. So anyway.
I mean, there were some very colorfully descriptive words that I have never heard before. And then I went back to my normal, small civilian town and said those words and phrases, and people are like, what did you say?
Oh man, when I went to college, right after I got out, there was a Marine grunt and an Army photojournalist who had spent a lot of his last like 2 years embedded with SF in my cohort of college, and it's art school. And we had like one professor who was, I would say, very sensitive, and she got offended so many times with us talking like in ways we thought were just like normal conversation because it's like right after we had all gotten out at the same time.
Yes.
And yeah, and it's just like we're all having conversations, and it's just like, I mean, to be fair, we probably wasn't. We weren't having conversations that are normal for normal people to have.
No.
It was,
No.
but it was still. It was like funny to us. It was like, what's up with her? Like,
What's your problem?
what's your problem? Blah, 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 blah. So, anyway, yes.
I have a question about like that time frame and that period for you, like
Yeah.
the getting out stuff, like in that like 1 to 3 year time span, because I know that's what it was for me. Did it feel like looking back on the Marine Corps times, and this is the only way I can like describe it, and I don't know if it's right, but it feels right to me, was like looking back on it for those 1 to 3 years, like that time period felt like colorful and alive. Like it's like looking at an old movie that they like colorized versus another movie from that time period. Because like it's only like it's the same group of time. I was roughly the same age, but afterwards, like everything else felt like duller and less colorful. And the only thing I can really attribute it to was one, the people, two, the mission, and three, the amount of stress it was.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think like most military people struggle a little bit when they get out because you don't have that like
Structure.
well, it's not just the structure. It's that you don't have that mission. You know, you don't have that for your. You don't have that personal mission. You don't have a group of people around you who are focused on the same mission.
Yep.
And then you're with a lot of awesome people. So and you don't have all those awesome people anymore. So yeah, it's I mean, not all of them are awesome, but
you're living, working,
yeah,
fighting, feeding, drinking, everything
yeah,
with these people, and
Yeah.
like there is a closeness, but you're also going through a shared suffering
yeah.
together, and I don't know, and like everyone's under the same stress. It's like, well, we got to get aircraft 21 up. It's like, yeah, we do. We got to get aircraft. If we don't
Yeah.
get this aircraft up, like our life is over. And like
Yeah.
looking back, and I was like, if we didn't get aircraft 21 up for some reason, like would the world have stopped turning? No, like we would have gotten yelled at. We wouldn't have been beat. Nobody would have shot us, but like maybe not making that mission would have looked bad, like in a tick mark somewhere, like way up the line.
But would it have actually mattered in the big picture long run? Probably not.
No, but
No.
like we worked ourselves to the bone to like in this hypothetical situation,
Yeah.
do this one thing for this thing.
Yeah. Sometimes doing shady stuff too. Like,
We would never do that. Those are federal regulations for aircraft.
dude, I went over to the graveyard hangar one time and stole parts off of one of those condemned aircraft.
That's not illegal. That's just collecting a part. It's called cannibalization.
I stole
And if
parts-
it's a serialized part, they know that we did it.
We had that one hangar queen that I don't think ever left the hangar the whole time I was there. It was like an ancient block too, so I don't even think it was worth like getting back up to flying condition.
Yeah. Yeah, once something becomes a can bitch, which means a
yeah.
cannibalized aircraft, we're taking the parts
Yeah,
for
it's
another
just-
one, it's doomed.
Yeah.
Until somebody like up at like the wing level sees like that Buno number hasn't flown in like 2 years, and they're like, why hasn't this Buno flown in 2 years? Make it happen. It's like, all right, so we're cannibalizing a new aircraft, make this one the flying aircraft. It's like
Which
this
is
weird
really
shell
stupid.
game. It's just like,
Yes. Well, a lot of it was really dumb.
it's like, then it's just like, why don't you just like buy more parts?
Yeah, there's a lot of. I stole a lot of stuff though too. Like everybody says, there's no thieves in the Marine Corps. There's only one. Everyone else is trying to get their stuff back. It's like, well, I was directed to steal things quite often. It's like
I don't know how
I
many
went, I went
times-
wandering through hangars one time when I couldn't find a unit that had a thing we needed. It was like a special cotter pin or something.
Oh my God.
I don't know. It
yes.
was something stupid. It was like something we should have had dozens, hundreds of laying around. It was like some specialized bolt or
When they
cotter.
made
I
us
don't know.
get rid of
Anyway.
the unit parts entry bin, so the parts entry bins started moving to people's pockets that time frame.
Yeah, but probably then.
Yes.
So I went like looking around at other units. Nobody had it, and so I ended up like, and I was told like, no, you have to go find this, like make it happen. So I started like wandering through building hangars that didn't have a unit currently there, because there were a couple units that were deployed, but there was just tons of
Yes.
stuff stored in their hangars. And it's like
That's a solid move.
just going through toolboxes and storage boxes in like empty hangars, and there with my headlamp at night. Like, it's like I hope PMO doesn't like just wander in here. It's like
I cannot tell you how many times where it's been like we're down to like the last can of hydraulic fluid or transmission fluid for Flightline, where it's like we need more of this oil. Well, base hazmat's only open during the day, and it's 1:30 in the morning. Looks like I'm breaking in.
I never did that.
I have broken into base hazmat more times than I would care to admit.
Yeah.
And, well, to be perfectly honest and fair, so about the time you would have been at the shop in the squadron, they were moving things from MALS and MAG hazmat. So MALS and MAG had separate. MALS 26 and MALS 29 had their own hazmat. So depending on who we were attached to when they were deployed, so we were either MALS 26 or MAG 29, depending on how it just shook out that day. Theirs were not secure, so I could break into those very easily. But then once there was an actual base hazmat, they had like a barbed wire fence and lights and whatever the hell you call those, like cameras and stuff. And it was just like,
Nobody's watching those. It's fine.
well, it was enough to where they went, all right, I guess we can't break in anymore.
Probably, yeah.
But they also at that time started using like barcodes to like control for the base who was getting how much and where it was going, because they had no idea. Because people were literally just going in there at night and just going, well, I need this.
Mm-hmm.
Except for like very Osprey specific things, and at that time there was one Osprey unit, so they knew exactly where the carbon fiber epoxies, I guess that's what they're called, the two-part
I know
carbon
what you're
fiber
talking
stuff
about.
was 6363.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure that's the number for what it was. It was
That was
green.
like the repair epoxy. That wasn't like the making new carbon fiber, was it? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I just remember 6363 was green, and
I
if
don't
you
even
mixed
remember
it too hot, it would light a cup on fire.
Ah. Yeah, I never got it hotter than like smoking. That's another one of those
So
shady
it
things
would
I would do though, because people would tell
smoke?
me, maintenance like control would be like, we need this aircraft up, and the only thing like in the way is like some little like wire holder or something that's epoxied in place, and they're like, we need it up in an hour. It's like, it takes 8 hours for this epoxy to cure.
I don't care how you make it happen. Make it happen. I don't know anything.
So it'd be like, I would mix that stuff till it was almost smoking, and mix stuff like that, and then hold a heat gun, like wrap it aluminum foil and hold a heat gun on it to
Yeah,
dry
well,
it
you
out
guys
even
would
faster.
do that, and then you would drop the cup off on the metal desk in hazmat and be like, thanks, see you guys later. And so me and Bates would sit there and watch it and just be like, think it's going to light on fire today? I watched them mix it in front of me. They didn't use a scale.
No.
What's the scale? I have a calibrated eyeball.
I don't think I used a scale until I started working in the hazmat.
The classic line I would say to people is, don't do this like I do this. Like if I was, could they be like, hey, can you like mix me like some sealant, like, because I need to like do this panel and I'm like kind of in a rush. And, like they'd say this as they're walking by, like, yeah, man, no problem, I got you. Or if they like a new kid would like watch me do it, like, I need help mixing this. Can you help me, Corporal? I'm like, yeah, I can help you. Like, just this, that, and the other. Da, 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 da. I'm like, don't do this like I do, because I eyeball it like a motherfucker.
I'm mixing this like my grandmother makes biscuits. Like,
I'm
just
like-
handful of this, handful of that, a pinch of this.
I'm like, I know what I'm doing. You're trying to. Basically, I know what color or what shade of gray I want it to be.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I mixed sealant, which sealant was low consequence.
Yeah, yeah.
It was low consequence if you mixed it wrong. If you mixed it not hot enough, like, it just takes longer to cure. If you mix it too hot, it just cures kind of fast and maybe gets brittle.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a big
Low
deal.
consequence, but it gave you a false sense of security when you had to mix something important.
Yeah, it's not like a landing gear or something, you know, like a...
Yeah, landing gears are fun.
Yeah. Remember Byers saving the day with the mattress landing? I think it was like the first big mattress landing we had when I was there.
Oh, that definitely wasn't the first one.
There was several. There was quite a few.
Do you...
I just remember Byers got an award for that, though.
Probably.
He got some award, and so did some staff sergeant from our shop, from Airframes, who I can't remember the name of, who wasn't doing anything useful at all. He was just present.
So, was that the major... I really don't want to call him out. Fuck it. Was it?
The OIC, I think it was the OIC of Airframes. Who was
Yes.
flying that.
That
It wasn't
that...
his fault.
No, it was a hung
failed.
landing gear. Basically, the landing gear light, or the...
I remember it was...
basically the switch or something was...
I don't remember what it was. I remember watching him
in
fly
there.
that, though, and he was, like, bouncing it off the back landing gear, trying to get the front landing gear to jar out. Like, that pilot was solid. I remember watching him, like, literally, like, getting the nose within feet of the ground, bouncing it off the rear landing gear, like, hoping he could jar it loose, and it was just, like...
Wait. Was that the hung landing gear, or
There was a hung front landing gear. I don't know if it was just the front landing gear wasn't coming out. They had to land the nose on, so they ended up landing the nose on a stack of mattresses.
Yeah, so those are the... I guess they're the ERT mattresses. Those are the stacks we had to make.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are the old barracks mattresses, too.
They looked like it.
There they were.
They looked like they had sweaty, greasy bodies sleeping on them for years.
Those are called Marines, and you should respect them. They are our nation's heroes.
They're dirty. They smell funny.
And I know this because I was one.
Yes.
Not the hero, just dirty and sweaty.
I'm call myself out on being a really dirty person there for a while. There was a while on night crew when I was like so tired and over the day, where I would go home still like greasy and stuff and just go to sleep without taking a shower first.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would do that for weeks at a time without washing my sheets.
Bold strategy.
In hindsight, that was really gross.
That is really gross, actually. But also...
And what's weird
being
is,
roughly the same age as you and in that same time frame, and like I've been there.
yeah, it's like sleep's more important than anything right now because I have to wake up in time to get chow before I go back to work.
Yeah. I totally get it all, and I understand all those games, but also there was a lot of times where I just went, you know what? I really want to shower today.
Yeah, no. Well, I showered every day. Sometimes I didn't do it till the next morning before going back. It was like at some point I had this realization, like, oh, this is really gross. I should really shower before I go to bed. Then my sheets stay fresh and clean. My bed is nicer.
If you shower before bed, your bed stays clean, and then you'll wake up clean. Except
feel
then I
nicer.
found out about night sweats, and I'm like, what are night sweats?
I don't have night sweats.
Well, other people told me about them. I'm like, huh.
That's gross.
You ever heard of an air conditioner?
Yeah. Even when we didn't have air conditioning, like we had a summer where we didn't have AC, at least in the room I was in.
There was a lot of rooms in that barracks.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the whole barracks or if it was just like blocks of it. But anyway, yeah, I just put like a little like fan on the back of my rack blowing over me. I was like, I'm nice and cool now.
I think I had an oscillating fan that would just get my entire body.
Yeah, I just put one right behind my head so it was like blowing over my face and down my body.
Oh, I couldn't deal with that. I like the
was great.
oscillating fans where it just like gets all of it.
Yeah. But it's like I think it was only one full summer I went without AC in those barracks. But weirdly enough, there was like one winter where we had partial heat, and there was 2 different barracks I lived in that had almost no heat. Like I don't know what it is about Marine Corps barracks and their maintenance, but it was pretty.
Let's
Sad.
be very honest that it was a much older barracks.
Yeah. So it was like there was the student barracks we stayed in.
Those ones are very old, yeah.
4010.
Yep.
Was it? Yeah, right next to the chow hall. Yeah, that place had the group bathrooms. And when we were on the 3rd floor, some of the windows were broken out.
That wasn't me, I swear.
Doesn't matter. They just didn't repair them. I think we had a missing window in our room.
Oh, God.
Like, it was winter. I mean, North Carolina's not that bad, but Coburn had a gas heater in his
Fun
room.
story about that. So that barracks,
Yeah.
4010, and then, like we were all up on 3rd deck and like I guess it was the wing to the right or wherever the wing was. Faribaugh, I think it was Faribaugh, fell asleep in his room like I forget when it was, but I remember he was in there and he locked the door and he couldn't, and like he was just dead asleep. Like he wasn't waking up for the world. It was just like morning or the middle of the day or sometime, like maybe taking a nap, maybe not. I don't remember. But so if you popped up those tiles, you could climb over the wall to the next room.
Oh, that's not
So
surprising.
Dishler had to climb over
smallest guy.
to wake him up and unlock the door. Because, so you could break into someone else's room just by going over the wall. And I'm like, that explains why I can hear everything going on all the rooms around me.
Unfortunately, yes. Yes, you can.
Which wasn't anything like really nefarious.
No.
It was just kind of like, I'm a Marine. And you're just, like a boot, like in a schoolhouse.
Everyone's boots. Everyone's stupid.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, they did health and comfort while I was there. That was fun.
Didn't get one of those.
Yeah, we were slightly terrified for a few minutes because they found a case of empty beer cans in our ceiling. But it was like old enough to where it had an expiration date on it that was like years before we were there.
Nice.
And they were all bone dry, so like nothing came of it. But somebody found it in the ceiling. And it was like, why were you even looking up there? Like, we didn't even know you could think about hiding stuff up there. Like, and they could find it. And he's like, you guys stand by here. We'll be back. They never came back.
They probably put it there. But that's how they knew it was there.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe they're just messing with us. They hid it there while we were outside in formation waiting to go in.
No, they put it there when they went through the schoolhouse like 5 years ago.
He's like, I wonder if this. It's like, I know where to find something.
I had this room when I was at PFC. Like, let's see.
I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna tell them I think it's theirs, and then they're all gonna fry.
Yeah, let's make them sweat.
Probably. Wouldn't surprise me. It sounds like something. I feel like if you were going to stay in career-wise, you should probably have a couple of long-term, like, pranks.
Yeah.
Where you hide stuff, and it's like, okay, I'm hiding this to mess with someone later in some way. Like, I don't know.
It's one of those things where it's like, I got a 50-50 chance of this putting off, and it all depends on, like, me becoming a schoolhouse instructor.
Maybe.
Gotta get it.
Anyway, yeah. So, I don't know. It's just all the barracks I stayed in were junk, though. 4020 was one of the nicer ones. Like, even at M.S.G, it was their old building. Mm-hmm. And once again, like, missing windows, heat that only had, like, a radiator-style heater that barely worked. Like we all had like sleeping bags in our rooms, in our room.
So what you're saying is that the Marine Corps prepared us for Russian prisons?
Probably not that. Probably not.
Not as good.
I don't know. Being bootless in Siberia sounds a little worse.
It does. If you wanted to escape,
I
you got to
watched
bring
Stranger
a fat
Things.
person to eat.
Or be fat before you get there so you last longer.
No. That was the thing. So people that were wanting to, like, I've heard this from people who have read the Gulag Archipelago, and that the people that were trying to escape would, like, recruit a fat person, and they called him a cow.
Oh,
and
no.
that's basically what they would use them for, because there's no food source in Siberia.
No.
Not when you're running away from a gulag.
Yeah. There's one of my favorite books by Louis L'Amour is called The Last of the Breed. And it's about this fictitious Air Force pilot who goes down over Siberia. I think he's like a U-2 or some old spy plane.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he ends up going to prison. He escapes. It's like a year and a half of him escaping across Siberia, like slowly. He was raised in like Idaho or something. It's like one side of his family was Native American, so he's putting all of his skills to use, like, you know, hunting and trapping animals and making bows and stealing weapons and
Yes.
selling tanned hides in a friendly village, like all, you know, eventually like gets to the far east side and kayaks across the strait to Alaska, you know.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he at the end there's there's a native like Siberian guy who's like sent to track him down.
Mm-hmm.
He's the Russians' tracker, and eventually he like scalps him. They end up having a face off, and he scalps him and sends it back to the colonel in charge of the prison. It's a fun book. It's good.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So if you ever want to read a Western-ish fiction, but based in, Russia. So are you familiar with Louis L'Amour?
I know the name. There's a bunch of other books, and
he wrote,
can't
like,
think of something that he read, but I know the name.
Dozens and dozens of like small Western books. Most of them are pretty short. Last of the Breed's one of his longer novels, and it's not even like a super long novel. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it was like I read a lot of his stuff in high school because it was like good, easy reading.
Nice.
Or before that, no. Okay, so in Tennessee, in like K-8, when I was in school, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, they had some program where you had to read books and take tests on it and get points, and you had to get so many points per month. So I went from like homeschool to public school, and the first like probably 6 months or a year of that, I survived off just taking tests on books I'd read before, like that I got a lot of points for, like Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. You know?
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, because I'd read all that stuff like that when I was like pretty young.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, I've got to get more points. And like, but it's like, I'm not a fast reader. I just liked reading good stuff, but I wasn't a fast reader. So I started reading like short Westerns and Goosebumps and Hardy Boys books, like, you know, because they're like super easy reads just to like crank out points on that system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway.
You were just explaining Louis L'Amour.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, after that, I didn't read a book for like made me hate reading though. I didn't read a book for fun for like years after that.
I read for fun. I hated reading for English class.
Yeah.
Where they're like, "Tell us what you thought the author meant by the door was red." I don't know. Maybe it was the color red, which is a primary color. I
was
no
way
idea.
too literal for all that stuff. Anyway.
Same here. I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe he was just explaining the color of the door.
I think the first thing I read for fun again was after I joined. I started reading the Dark Tower series by Stephen King.
I tried that. I couldn't get into it.
I never finished the whole series. I got through book like 4, I think, and then I think it was when I was going to M.S.G. that I was in the middle of another book, and I just never picked up the series again.
I think I picked up Starship Troopers by Robert Heinlein, which was on the Commandant's reading list, and I was like, I'm going to get like some extra points to like get promoted to whatever I was trying, probably sergeant at that point because I was still a corporal. And then I went down a Robert Heinlein rabbit hole of reading.
I should probably read more of his stuff. I liked Starship Troopers.
I highly recommend The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. That's probably my favorite of his.
All right, cool.
And that's where the phrase, "there ain't no such thing as a free lunch" comes from, is that book. Well, at least as I know it through popular culture.
Okay. Yeah. For anyone who's interested, Starship Troopers is nothing like the movie.
Starship
at
Troopers
all.
is fucking amazing compared to the movie.
Okay, I'm gonna give the movie.
The movie was highly entertaining.
Yeah, the movie's highly entertaining, and it's like a giant satire, basically.
Yeah.
But it's nothing like the book at all.
No.
Except
The first time I was like, wait a minute, while I was reading this book, I'm like, they have power suits? I'm like, what? This is great. And then it turned into from power suits to like, wait a minute. And like through the power suits, so like, you know, basically kind of like an exoskeleton, but it's also a suit that like encapsulates them so they can
which is way cooler than the troopers in the movie.
Yes.
Way cooler.
But also I understand why they didn't do it in the movie because they're like, how much money is this going to cost to put these on all the actors?
Oh, no. When they made the movie, they couldn't have done that.
No.
If they remade the movie now, they could do it like that because CGI is so cheap. They could like...
Yeah, they'd do it for like the main characters and all the ones behind them would be CGI'd in. And so what was the phrase that they said for like when they're like on the move? It's like on the bounce or on the jump?
I honestly don't remember.
Pretty sure it's on the bounce.
It's been way too long.
On the bounce, trooper, let's go. Because like they would bound as you would like think like jumping bounce.
Yeah, because they're super powered body armor.
Yes. And that's how they killed the bugs.
Yeah.
Which is far more amazing.
And in the book, they were also fighting, what was it, the Skinnies? Was there some other, or was that, am I thinking of an entirely different science fiction?
So
I think they were fighting another race before they fought the bugs.
They've called there was a form of the bugs that they called the Skinnies.
Oh, okay.
Which is why they call, when like the Black Hawk Down era, like those Rangers and those people, that's why they called the Somalis Skinnies, is because of the book Starship Troopers, not their size. Because they were like the Deltas and the Rangers, like at that time frame, were like really into Starship Troopers.
Of course. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it actually does have tactics in it, which is why it was also on the Commandant's reading list.
Yeah, it wasn't just a fun fiction. I read it because it was like the funnest thing on the Commandant's reading list at the time.
It was way better than Rifleman Dodd.
I never read that. And
it's decent.
I also read what was a Letter to Garcia or something.
Did not do that one.
Like, I hardly read anything off the list. Anyway, that sent me on a rabbit hole, though, of reading other power armor books in science fiction.
Nice.
So, oh, man. There's one just called Armor. I can't remember the author right now. I'll remember it later, probably. Another one called The Forever War. These are all different authors those are both really good, though. They're old science fiction.
Which are the better ones?
Yeah, I liked. They're fun. And then there's some of the ones that are really good. I've read some other, like, or I shouldn't say I've read. I've listened to some audiobooks from the library on other series, but I wouldn't call them good enough to recommend to people, even if they were fun. So anyway, the power armor like genre, if there's a book that's based on like that, science fiction, we have giant body suits. I'm probably gonna like enjoy reading it just because I don't know.
I like science fiction, but I don't like to like stay in like the same like genre of it. So I like shoot all around.
Yeah.
So the last series I read would have been the Hyperion Contos. So it's 4 books about this fictional planet called Hyperion. And then it goes into Endymion as the last 2. But it's, I don't even know how to explain it because it is so overarching and large. And like I forget what like classic literature it's like based off of.
Yeah.
But that one was good, but it took me a while to read.
Okay.
And now I'm reading the Trip Ainsworth books, the Smoke Pit Fairy Tales, where it starts off normal and then it goes into science fiction, and it's great. So the first book is the Epic of Gilgamesh. The second book is Achilles and Troy, and that's when they start fighting the Russians. Third book is Aftermath of World War III with the Russians, and it's the Odyssey, and that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yes, so he's basically like turning Marines into sci-fi things. Aliens are in the first book, and so we get their technology. That's why the Russians start getting all wily and start taking over their old lands. So us, the Germans, the Brits, and the Russians, like they all have this Russian or alien technology, which is basically like Gundam suits for pilots.
Right.
So like, shit starts getting spicy, and then World War III kicks off and nuclear winter.
Okay.
It's fucking wildly entertaining because it's, troop level Marines like smoking cigarettes, talking shit, and like wild things happening and being said.
Nice.
Also, one of them gets married to an alien. Which just look like humans with green skin, and like they have their own.
Oh, whatever.
That's to make the story.
Not an octopus.
I actually interviewed him for one of these. Like I like the guy; he's great.
Yeah.
But I suggest people read it if you're into 1, Marines, and 2, science fiction.
Okay.
If those 2 things are things you like, you will fucking love these.
Okay, cool. It's one you might like. It doesn't have any Marines. Adrian Tchaikovsky, something. Shards of Earth, Children of Ruin. Anyway, he's got the series
I've heard
of books.
those, yes.
Okay, yeah. Children of Time. That's the book. Is the start. It's the one you need to read. Children of Time.
Okay.
There's a second book that comes after it called Children of Ruin. Anyway, I actually have both of them in paper in a bag. I was going to put in a giveaway box somewhere if you want.
Nice.
Sitting a few feet away.
It's right behind you.
Yes. Earth becomes unlivable. There was like a super society that destroyed themselves, and then humans finally crawl their way back to space. But the Earth is so far gone that at that point that they still have to escape. So it's like arc ships and stuff, and it's just this story of like these people are putting themselves in, on ice, like suspension, and then they'll wake up and stuff happens. They'll put themselves back in suspension. So it's like the story that's crossing millennia until they finally get to where they're going, But there was also like terraforming projects and all kinds of stuff out there by the ancient society that collapsed. So they're trying to find stuff like that, and there's intelligences out there because of that stuff that aren't human, and it's really interesting actually. So
it does sound interesting.
I'll give you the books if you want them. Anyway, so Starship Troopers. We've talked about books. What were we talking about before that?
I think we were talking about the military. So let's go back to that. So you were in an air wing unit, and let's go to M.S.G. now.
Okay, because air wing's boring. So
it is boring.
M.S.G. Marine Security Guard.
Embassy duty.
Embassy duty. They're the guys you see standing around in
that
blue
Jason
suits
Bourne always kills.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen. He wouldn't have gotten in. Well, maybe back in the day, a long time ago, you could have gotten through an embassy that easily, but...
You mean before digital camis?
Yes. Well, no, I mean, just like the way embassies are laid out now, you're not just going to run through one.
Okay.
Like, there's mag-locked doors everywhere. So without getting into the armored box, and where you can have the master controls, you're not just running through all the doors. All the doors have like passcodes where it's either like you have to know a code to get in, or you have to know like you have to badge in.
Got it.
Or somebody has to physically press it from an armored box somewhere watching a camera, has to press a button to let you in after you like show your ID to the camera. Like you're not just running through a building like that. I really like the Jason Bourne movies though, even though they're ridiculous.
Yeah. They're entertaining.
Yeah, they're great. I like cheap, entertaining movies.
Because you're cheap and you like to be entertained.
Yeah. I used to like movies that, the, what do you call them? Artsy films and stuff, where it was like the deeper artsy stuff.
Like a French person smoking a cigarette in black and white, trying to figure out philosophy and why they lost love.
Yeah, so whatever, stuff like that. I used to kind of like that sort of thing. And then it's like I got older and like I had less time to like, watch TV and have life things to do. And it's like,
got 30 minutes, entertain me.
It's like, if I want to sit down and watch TV now, I want it to be fun and entertaining. Give me a Marvel movie. It's like, I want it to be cheap and fun. Give me a Marvel movie or Star Wars.
Yeah.
Anyway, so MSG. So you apply. You have to apply for it. You have to meet a bunch of qualifications. You have to go to a school that people hype up as being way tougher than it is.
Okay.
Like the guy we were talking about earlier, what was it? Who was it that went to MSG school?
Jones,
yeah. I think he told me you had, like, all the instructors were, like, marathon runners, and they would, I'm pretty sure he was messing with me.
Or they all had left by then?
Or they'd all left, but it wasn't that long after he was there that I went. And
It would have
like,
been because he went when we were still at VMX. So that would have been like 2004, and you didn't go
Oh, okay,
there
I didn't go
until
to-
after
2000
I was out.
yeah, it
So
was a
that would
few.
have been after 2008.
Yeah, it was a few months after you left in 2008 when I went. So
Yeah. So there would have been
Uh,
like 4 years in there.
yeah, okay, maybe it was a while. So anyway, but he like played it up like, oh, they're all marathon runners and they run everybody, and they have a chase van, that they're all in, and the instructors just take turns getting in and out of the van while they run you to death, and they do that every day. But the thing is, like, I met a few other people who'd done MSG, and they all told me like equally ridiculous stories about how like physically hard it was, or like whatever.
So it's like the Marine Corps version of like some dude coming back to like a poolie function, like, what was boot camp like? Be like, oh, they fucking like take you out to the sandbox every day.
They literally murder you every day, and you have to come back to life. Anyway.
Wait, I was 3rd Battalion. That didn't happen to you?
No, I was the men's battalion, 1st battalion.
That's not the men's battalion. Pretty sure that's 4th you're thinking of.
No.
And for all the West Coast Marines, 4th Battalion is
the
where
girls' battalion.
is the female battalion.
Sorry, the women's
Female Marines.
female Marines. They're not women. They're female Marines. They're
That's
better than
right.
real women.
Remember
maybe,
that FE
or
in
something.
female stands for iron and male is man, so they're iron men.
Something. I don't know.
Neither do
Anyway.
I. Massively sidetracked again.
Yeah. Anyway.
My ADD and your ADD are just
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. So anyway, MSG school, it's like tough, but it's not the impossible thing people make it out to be.
well, yeah, because
And
people
once
have
again,
to get
it's
through.
a school, so they look for lots of little things to pick on people for. There was a kid in my schoolhouse detachment. They break all everybody up into little groups of like 5 or 6 students,
Right.
and they're a fake detachment, like you were out at an embassy, and they have one of the detachment commander students is in charge of you. So they, everybody's in these little 5, 6, 7, 8 man groups. And there was a guy in my group. So we had our range weeks where we were doing pistol, shotgun, rifle, and like everybody who's not on the range, we're sitting around for hours at a time, kind of like a real range, or like a normal range, except it's State Department qualifications. You'd be sitting around for hours at a time. So people are out there with like their old school iPods, and their wired headphones, like sitting there when they're sitting around bopping.
Mm-hmm.
And one guy in my detachment, keep in mind, a student deck commander had actually told people it was okay to do this when they weren't like actively involved in training. So one of my guys, he like walks like 20 feet, like from one spot to another, and an instructor sees him and yells at him and gets in trouble for it. And all these student detachment commanders don't say a word, even though one of them who was standing there had told everybody it was okay. They don't back him up at all. And he gets in trouble for it, but they don't kick him out. But they get to the last final thing you do, which is like this interview with some sergeant major and a federal agent from a diplomatic security service and like 1 or 2 other people that are, for me, I forget if they were, I think there's like a State Department diplomat maybe or something. I don't remember who all was in there. It was a couple of like high-ranking people though that are more important than you, who are interrogating you about your time there and how you did and all this other stuff. And they also do the peer reviews where they make everybody review each other. And oftentimes, if there's anybody who's like not liked by everyone in his detachment, they're probably going to get booted from school.
Okay.
It's like basically they ask the questions like, "Would you trust this person to have your back in a firefight?" kind of thing, that sort of question.
Yes.
Yeah, and so which I guess that's fair. Like if nobody trusts him, then because the trust is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Because it's an
anyway,
embassy versus a country.
Yeah, but they wait till then, like this week of the portion of school to finally kick that guy out for that incident like weeks before at the range.
Jesus.
Yeah, which a staff NCO had told him was fine, told all of us was fine, and then didn't back him up on. Anyway, that guy later made it out to the program. I actually saw him when I went to Croatia.
Oh, okay.
He was there. I was like, "Oh, hey, you're here." It's like, "Did you have to go through the school again?" He's like, "Yes, the whole thing." So he basically went through MSG school twice.
That's dedication to wanting it, though.
Yeah. So anyway, but
Did he get it like instant recycle, or did he have to like wait a little
he had
bit?
to like go back to the fleet, and then
And
like
reapply.
reapply the whole process over again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's wanting it. That's good on him though.
Yeah, I was like, that's ridiculous. And so, and after you've gone through it once, the whole thing would be easy. It's like you might be a little sleep deprived, but it's not like a big deal.
So I've heard that, you get, so it's a 2-year thing or
3.
something like 3-year thing.
Yeah, 3.
So I heard you do one portion of time in a quote unquote third world country or a shittier country, and you do another portion of time in like a better country, like a first world country.
Yeah, hypothetically,
That's what I've heard.
What they say is you do 3 posts as a watch standard. Deck commanders do 2 posts, so they go a year and a half at one, a year and a half another. Watch standards do a year at each post, and they say hypothetically you do like 1 nice post and 1 hardship post and 1 in between post.
Okay.
They also let people have choices every time, which I met people who said they got it what they asked for every time. Most of the people I knew never got anything they asked for.
Which sounds like the military, because
Yeah.
I wanted West Coast, but there was no Ospreys there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when we filled out that thing early on, it's like where do you want to go? It's like I want to go to overseas, West Coast, East Coast, and I end up in Ospreys in North Carolina.
Same here.
And I'm like, this is basically like Tennessee, but with swamp and ocean.
I did like it though, because home was driving distance. I'm like, yeah, okay.
In hindsight, North Carolina actually wasn't bad at all, like a place to be, especially if I'd gotten off base more and done things I enjoyed, like fishing,
Going
kayak.
over to Raleigh,
Yeah.
Wilmington, and Myrtle Beach had great concerts.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was good stuff in the area, and if you liked outdoorsy things, like I do, and I wish I had gotten into back then,
Yeah, I wish I
Yeah.
had gotten into a lot more there too.
it's like I could have had endless hours of entertainment with a fishing pole and a kayak off right on base. Like,
I had endless hours of entertainment driving 15 miles south of base and just having a cheap bodyboard.
so I didn't discover surfing till like years later, and I wish I know we didn't have good surfing in that area.
It was
Wantland used to
Actually-
surf.
Wantland surfed, Jones surfed.
Yeah.
I know those two did.
Yeah. I never tried it till after I got out of the Corps, and after that I was like, man, like I could have been doing this every weekend.
I think there was an Avi sergeant from Hawaii too.
Yeah.
Forget his name. I have his face in my head though.
Yeah. So anyway, and hindsight's 2020. I'm like, man, I could have had such a better time in North Carolina than I did. I still had a good time, but it was like I could have.
Yeah, so surfing
it could
was
have been awesome.
bigger down by Wilmington, actually.
Sure.
Because there's surf shops there. There's actually a band me and Ryan fucking love,
Yeah.
Lamb of God. They're from Richmond, Virginia. Not important. Their lead singer is from Wrightsville Beach.
Okay.
And, I get to follow him online now, so I get to see a lot more of what he says in posts and stuff.
Right.
But, yeah, there's like a lot of surf shops down that way. Like, Wrightsville Beach was south of Wilmington, so other side of the Cape Fear River, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever river's there.
Okay.
But it's like, yeah, basically the other side of there, and that's where like there's more. It's way more surfing oriented from what I
Yeah.
can tell.
Yeah.
I'm like, huh, that's why I never got that bug.
Yeah, I just mostly went to Topsail and then like Emerald Isle sometimes. So it's like pretty chill beaches. You don't see a lot of waves.
Yeah. So it is the outer side of still kind of that Outer Banks barrier island chain.
Right.
And actually, I've gone on vacation to the Outer Banks, and there's more surf shops there, but it more depends on the swell for how it looks. But because of the way, it works with like the surf out there and like not getting as much good waves, like those guys are way more serious. So I was like talking to a guy in a surf shop there one day, and he's like, yeah, I went out to like California and San Diego, and like they had no clue what we were not speaking the same language. Like the guy seemed like he was just way too casual about surfing. He was just like, oh, hey, yeah. Like, where like this dude that I was talking to was like serious, knew what he was talking about. And I'm just like, and he was way younger than me too. And I'm like, fucking good for you, dude.
Yeah. Well, parts of Cali, you don't have to be serious. It's like you can just grab a board and show up at the beach.
It's like, oh
You
yeah,
just have
I'm
to,
there.
You just have to know what beach to show up at for what level of waves you'd want, and it's going to have them.
I mean, but maybe that kid just got like a bad experience where it's like you just have to more look the part and be able to half talk it, and
Right.
like you can pass off as that. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
maybe he had that experience.
Okay.
Whereas if he would have talked to someone else who would have, maybe the people who actually knew what they were fucking talking about were surfing that day. Like, there's lots of possibilities where it's like maybe you just had a bad experience and that led you to thinking that. Because like I've talked to people in California before, and like, I don't know shit about surfing, but they seem knowledgeable to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Don't know.
Yeah.
We got way off course. We're talking about security guards,
Yes.
Marine ones.
Mall cops. Fancy mall cops.
Yeah, but no.
Button pushers.
If you say so, you know more about it than I do.
They do. They push a lot of buttons. They call themselves that. So.
Okay. Well, I mean,
So
you
anyway,
can say it kind of like
just
how I can say
for,
jarhead.
what do you call it? A caveat or a disclaimer. The Marine Security Program has changed drastically since I was there. So things I say may not apply now.
They are outdated, much
Way
like my
outdated.
knowledge of the aircraft.
Yeah, so I do know things started changing rapidly right after the Benghazi thing, which was like right after I got out. So,
Okay.
yeah, that started changing how the State Department handled its security pretty drastically. So
Where were you posted?
me. So anyway, we were talking about hardship, all that. So my first post was in Germany. Anyway, where were we at?
Germany.
Germany. Yeah. So I got to go to Frankfurt, Germany, which it turns out is actually, I would consider, the armpit of the Marine Security Guard program. Okay. Shut up.
You go, girl. That's what I say to dogs when they're barking.
What did she say?
I don't know.
It'll be
All right, so Frankfurt, Germany sucked.
Yeah. Okay. Nothing wrong with Germany.
Well, it was the
Germany's-
armpit of
Germany's
the
a fine
MSG
place.
program, I believe, is what you described.
Yeah, yeah. It's because that consulate also has the is also the office space for like 4 different MSG regions of the world.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like lieutenant colonels and first sergeants and captains running around who think they know how to run the MSG program and don't seem to actually understand what an MSG's job is. And they're also the guys who are in charge of your fit reps if you're like a sergeant or above too. You know?
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, so it's just, and then I don't know. It seemed like both the deck commanders I had there and one of the assistant commanders were people they were trying to keep an eye on because they were like some of the worst dirtbags I ever worked for.
Solid.
Like one of the A/slashes I had there was a grunt and from early GWAT stuff, and he was awesome.
Okay.
He works in nuclear security now, or at least did last time I talked to him years ago. And
Sweet.
the other one was a dirtbag who I learned a lot about how not to be as a Marine from him.
It's
So he
amazing
taught
how
me a
many
lot.
times you learn that from people. It's
Yeah.
like,
It's like I thought people at like 204, like a lot of those guys were like bad
and
Marines.
shady.
And shady.
Yes.
No, this guy like topped all of them. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I almost got NJP'd while I was there, like right after I picked up sergeant because of him.
Nice.
Yeah, I broke some minor rule that I didn't realize I'd broken until the next day when he pointed it out, and it was over alcohol that he had bought me because we had like a detachment outing, and him and the deck commander both were like buying us shots, and they're like, "Oh, you drank 8 hours before you were on duty the next morning." It's like, really, what time were we? It's like I'm pretty sure I stopped more than that, but nobody knew exactly what time. I couldn't say like, yes, I stopped drinking at exactly 8:49 p.m. or and nobody could say like I saw him take a shot at midnight. Nobody knew.
Right.
It was really stupid. So he tried to fry me for that, and they've let it go all the way to like an NJP hearing in the company office, which happened to be at the same consulate since we were there. And it basically like I have like corporal chevrons in my pocket because like, well, I'm gonna be a corporal again, or I'm gonna get fired from the whole program and like miss my goal of being an MSG successfully. Anyway. And it gets in there, and he's basically like, okay, you probably broke a rule here. It's like, but basically, like, I'm not NJPing you, and started, like, reaming out my my staff sergeant, my gunny, in front of me.
Oh.
Because it's like they tried to turn me in for something that they were responsible for.
Nice.
That they couldn't even prove I had done. So they made it painful too, because they took it as a serious investigation. Like, they interviewed everyone in the detachment who was there multiple times. It became a very annoying thing for a lot of people. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then, like, they kicked me out of the CO's office, and me and the first sergeant went down the hallway to have, like, a debrief with him. And while the CO just basically ramped up his chewing out. The first sergeant was basically like, "These guys are idiots. I'm sorry."
You come with me. These two are, yes, shall we say, special or touched?
It was like the first time a first sergeant ever told me, like, the people who were in charge of me were idiots. It was actually, I mean, well, I actually hardly didn't see first sergeants really until M.S.G. Because we didn't really have those on the wing, so.
No, we had a master sergeant for maintenance.
Yeah, we had master sergeant and master guns.
Yeah, and then we had.
And a sergeant major, but
We had.
the only times I remember the only time I ever saw first sergeants was, like, if I went over to Geiger for something, and you'd, like, see somebody with, like, a couple of rockers and be like, "Oh, hi, first sergeant."
Warrant officers though.
And be like, "Hi, he'd be like, "No, I'm a first sergeant." He's like, "Oh, sorry." He's like, "You're from the Air Wing, aren't you?" It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Sorry, I don't see you guys often." Forget to look at the little thing. I just counted rockers.
I mean, yeah, there's that, or just be like, sorry, Air Wing. I don't know.
Like, yeah. Anyway, went there, did that. Germany's awesome. Great place. Public transit, food. It's all awesome. Anyway, went to Cameroon next, West Africa.
Oh, nice.
Cameroon was awesome. I loved Cameroon. I had a great group of guys while I was there.
I remember I was following you on Facebook on that time, and, like, I saw, like, just random snippets you would post, like, "I'm having the time of my life," and I'm like, that looks so awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we were all over the place while we were there. We had a couple times when we were shorthanded, so there was, like, this really weird week. We were about to stand up the detachment in Sudan, so we had, like, an extra guy for a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
So we were, like, overstocked. So we were working, like, it was like work 2 days and you're off 4.
Sweet.
It was like, that was like my first 2 months there.
Oh, that's great.
It was like, which was total polar opposite of having Germany, where it was like work 4 more days and you're off 2, maybe, kind of thing. And then it was like, okay, we're sending this guy to Sudan because they're finally ready to stand up the debt. Our A/ just shattered her arm in half in a bicycle wreck.
Woo.
Yeah, they decided to go PT on mountain bikes when not everyone knew how to ride mountain bikes.
That's a bold choice.
So she hit a curb and, like, just landed wrong and it shattered her arm.
But that's also the Marine Corps way of,
Yeah.
You know how to ride a bike, right?
Oh man, that was
Let's go.
Cringiest feeling was splinting her arm, like, because they, like, went and got the Suburban and got her and brought her back and, like, bring her into the post, and, like, I got more medical come in there, and, like, I splinted her arm, and we had her standing up for this chick, nerves of steel, because, like, it made me cringe, like, hard, just splinting her arm, and, like, I mean, she cleanly snapped both bones. It was like I told you about my elbow earlier, and this was, like, way worse. Like, her forearm in the middle was just hanging at a weird angle. Like, it's amazing she didn't, like, shred some nerves or veins or something in there, because it, the bone wasn't sticking out, but it's like, it was that bad. Anyway, so
as I get older, like, I hear about bone breaks, and I'm just like, where I was younger, like, hearing about a bone break, I'm like, yeah, that's normal. It happens. Like,
if it's a normal fracture, it's still not that big of a deal. It's like, oh, you wear a cast for.
You don't worry until it's a compound, and even then, like, if it's a compound mixed with it coming out of your skin, that's when it's bad.
Yeah, that requires
everything
surgery.
other than that's fine. And, like, now I hear it's just like, oh yeah, he, like, snapped something where it's, like, not bad. I'm like, I feel it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm old now.
Yeah, anyway, so she, like, snapped her arm, and we splint it. We get the embassy nurse to come in, and she does a little more work and gives her some drugs.
Yep.
And flies out of the country with her because flies her back somewhere. I think they took her to Germany to get surgery.
Makes sense.
Maybe all the way back to the U.S. I don't remember. Anyway, she was like, I'll be back, and I'm just like, no. I didn't tell her this, so, like, because, like, she was on painkillers by this point. I'm like, no, she won't she's not coming back. She's been on the program for more than 2 years, though. She already has a ribbon. She's good.
Oh, good.
She got her ribbon. Anyway, what was her name? Toledo, maybe? I don't remember her name anymore. She was cool, though.
She's from Ohio?
No. Toledo, that's the worst city ever. I've been there one time. I hated it so much.
I've driven through it.
I was also a teenager, and I was there with my mom's fiance at the time. Not the guy I was talking about earlier. The
Okay.
fiance before him.
Okay.
Worst. And I was a teenager, and I was moody, and whatever. Teenagers.
You listen to a lot of emo music?
I liked Linkin Park a lot.
Yep.
Loved Linkin Park. I think Chester's one of the few celebrity deaths that's made me sad.
Okay.
So yeah, that and Robin Williams.
That one was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked him too.
So like people get upset when celebrities die. It's like that's sad when anybody dies. Most of them aren't important to me. Anyway, I like Linkin Park, and I still occasionally like to pop it up on Spotify, listen to some old Linkin Park. I don't know.
Didn't they find like an old recording and like make a song?
I don't know.
I think
I'll
they
have to look
did.
into that. Anyway, I still like them. Weird band you might like. Have you heard of the Who? H-U?
Yes.
Yeah, the Mongolian dudes.
Yes.
They're rad. I like it so much. I made Rachel listen to it one day, and she lasted like 10 seconds. She's like, "This is disgusting. I hate it. Never do this."
There is a New Zealand band called Tai Kangata.
Okay.
And
It's like Maori's doing the same thing.
Maori heavy metal.
Oh.
So basically there's this song called Alien Weaponry.
Okay.
And basically it's just about like firearms coming to New Zealand.
Okay.
And it's just like,
I'll have to check it out.
but like it is like heavy metal mixed with like Maori, however you say that word, chanting. And it's just like, whoa.
I mean, if you ever listen to like a legit Haka, like that's intense. So.
Yeah, it is.
I could see you combine some cultural aspects from that with some like metal, heavy rock, and like it'd be pretty cool.
Oh, it is.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So I was talking about anyway. We lost a person. We had to send one guy to a detachment. We lost another person to an injury. And then our deck commander had to go to like some training thing, and then one of our RSOs, the regional security officers, they're the federal agents in charge of security in embassies, and they're also in charge of the Marine detachment. Anyway, one of them was already out of the country, and the other one got like an injury and left the country. We didn't understand why she left. She got like a nail in her foot or something. Turns out she was pregnant, and that's why she wanted to take it more seriously, to get it checked out.
Got it.
Anyways, there was like this weird week where we was like, we went from a detachment of one deck commander and 5 Marines with extra Marines to no federal agents, no deck commander, and 3 Marines.
Sweet.
It's like, so it was like a 1 or 2 week period. It's like, it's like, well, I guess you're the deck commander now, and I guess I'm kind of like I'm the federal agent, quote unquote. It's like I'm not really doing anything they do.
So it's like a Monty Python who's in charge.
Yeah, it's like 2 sergeants and a corporal. It's like we're in charge of everything.
Sweet.
It's like nice. Anyway, but I mean that's kind of like how the M.S.G program rolled back then. Is like sometimes life would be good, and sometimes you'd be super shorthanded.
Okay.
For 1 or more months at a time, waiting for like new people to come in. So it'd be like, 1 deck commander and 3 Marines, and you're just rotating through. You're staying on the same shift for a month or 2 at a time. So it's like you're on midnight shift forever until we get new people. And if you had a good deck commander like I did in Cameroon, he would take more shifts.
So do you think they're like doing like they did with recruiting and drill instructor duty, where they're like, you've been screened, you're good for this now? Because I remember
one of the changes they made is they started letting people sign up to the Marine Corps to join MSG like straight up. So they would sign up as infantrymen. So they'd go through
SOI.
SOI, thank you.
School of Infantry.
Instead of MCT, and then they would go to the embassy program, and it wouldn't count. It doesn't count as a B billet anymore.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't unless you're a deck commander, I think, or you join. what's the acronym? MSAU, MSAU. It's the Augment Security Unit. Basically, it's the guys who have better training, and they're sent out to do kind of like Fast Team used to do, where they they send out a group of guys to enforce security when there's a tumultuation in a country. So,
all right.
Yeah, so I think those
sucks
guys,
that it's not a B billet.
Yeah, those guys, if they're a sergeant or above, that counts as a B billet for them, is what I was reading, or somebody was telling me, because it's kind of a tough program if they're married, or especially. So that's the only way. I think you can do the embassy security now, though, as a married guy. You have to be a deck commander or like a sergeant and above in MSAL. So that was one of the things with M.S.G. is you couldn't be married. And you had to sign a little piece of paper that you wouldn't get married while you were on the program. And female Marines had to sign they also wouldn't get pregnant.
Got it.
And if you did either of those things, you usually got fired. If you got pregnant, or if you're a girl, you got pregnant. And if you're a dude or female Marine and you got married without permission, you got fired. So. All right. Anyway, sometimes life was good, sometimes it was slow, sometimes it was really sucked. It was a job where they didn't respect your time, so everybody has a.
That's the Marine Corps, though.
Yeah. It was worse than night crew air wing, though. It was because back then we did rotating shifts, so you do a day or two on one shift and a day or two on the next shift, a day or two on the next shift normally. And then we had our collateral duties, obviously, because you got to have those everywhere in the Marine Corps.
Yes.
Yeah. Which they inspected way harder than they did when we were in the air wing.
I believe it.
Yeah, at least at the lower enlisted level. Anyway, so, and then there's you have drills that can be at any time of day, whether you're out in town or asleep or whatever. You do a couple of those a month, and then just guard school once a week, where it's just a detachment meeting. Just lots of stuff, and where they just. So it was just sometimes you were just exhausted for weeks on end. It was really normal for me to go 2 to 3 days without sleep on a regular basis, and not uncommon to go a full 4 days no sleep. So
okay.
There was more than once in Germany when I got sent on a supply run to an army base, an hour away. When I hadn't slept for 3 days. Because the staff NCO's favorite snack had run out in the kitchen, so I'd be driving
I'm making the seriously face right now, just so people who know. Seriously, what the fuck?
Yeah, so me and the guy in charge of the kitchen would be doing supply runs in an armored Suburban on the Autobahn to go to an army base. Yes, it's neither of us had slept in days. So we'd take a pillow with us, and one of us would sleep on the way there, and then one of us would sleep on the way back. Switch off. Basically,
solid move.
Yeah. We were two of the only people who had driver's license, local driver's license too. So we got every time there was anything needed, it was oh, you guys are going. So it's
surprised they let you out of that one.
Yeah. So we had a couple of. That was the only post I drove at. All the other posts we had drivers because we could afford them at other posts, but. So we had an armored Suburban, a Jeep Cherokee, and a minivan.
Sweet.
And I got a armored Suburban up to 106 miles per hour on the Autobahn.
Nice.
Thank God we didn't have to hit the brakes. How long have we been talking?
1 hour, 40 minutes, and 38 seconds.
Oh, wow, this is going to be really long and the most boring episode.
Dude, no. No, this is entertaining and actually good, and not the longest. The longest one I did was with, so it was the second one with one of my coworkers, Gabe Guevara. Yeah. He's very good at talking. Mm-hmm. He's very interesting. He was born in Puerto Rico.
Okay. I'll listen to it eventually.
Huh?
I'll listen to it eventually. So far, I've only listened to the ones with guys I knew. So
it's very good. So he was born in Puerto Rico, almost got drafted into baseball because he's grew up in Florida.
Okay.
And had basically some injuries happen. Then went in the Army.
Okay.
And eventually became a recruiter, and now he works with me.
Cool.
But just tells stories really good, and the way he tells them, he's very good at talking. Like, I didn't realize like 3 hours had passed when we were talking. Like,
Nice.
dude, it's been 3 hours and I gotta pee. He's like, I gotta go to sleep. Also,
Right.
we were drinking.
Nice. Okay. So anyway, he's good at telling stories. So he can tell a cohesive story, whereas for me, you have to be able to follow
It was not
6 trains of thought at the
cohesive.
same. Okay.
It's
Anyway.
same ADHD train.
Oh, okay.
It
fine.
started with never buy a car from someone from Miami. I'm like, that's good advice. Tell me why.
I don't even know why, and it sounds like good advice. I don't know. Maybe it's 'cause-
Basically, where I was too.
yeah. So anyway, what do you want to know about the MSG program? About
So you were in Germany,
Cameroon
then
was great,
Cameroon.
yeah.
Tell me about Cameroon and
Okay, so
like
Cameroon-
all that. Like
is a quote unquote.
Ryan was asking me about it. He's like, what did he do with this and this? I'm like, I don't know.
Anyway, okay, Cameroon is quote unquote a third world country, like most of Africa, I guess. It's both francophone and anglophone.
Okay.
So mostly
French and English.
Mostly French, some English. Most people speak English, at least a pidgin English. So it was good because it was like a poorer country. We were able to like use our food money, BAS.
Yeah.
BS.
Basic allowance for sustenance. is
Yeah,
what
yeah.
it
So we
is.
pulled our money together. They don't give you money for this. You get BAS, and we pulled it together, and we paid for a chef and a maid.
Nice.
Yeah. Last time I heard the chef is still there. He's an awesome dude, Paul.
Great.
Let's see. We had a group of good drivers there. Jules retired a couple of years ago. They did a retirement party for him. They asked a lot of the former guys to send messages, so I made a little video telling a
Nice.
story about him. I went to his wedding, and they fed me something that they thought was very funny for me to eat. They said it was Viper. And I'm hoping that's what it was, and it wasn't something extra, even more weird. But I remember there was a couple dudes there that thought it was hilarious that I actually ate it. Anyway. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Cameroon was fun. There was a restaurant that was owned by an American dude. And I think he's like a Vietnamese American
Okay.
who owned a Vietnamese restaurant in Yaoundé, Cameroon. And this like 6'2" gay Vietnamese dude, gay American Vietnamese dude, in a country where you're not supposed to be gay.
All right.
Yeah, which was hilarious. It was anyway. He was the kind of guy where everybody's like, yeah, that's his restaurant's a great place to go, meet people. He's a great guy to hang out with. Just don't trust him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we all know people like that. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't let them get you into anything. So
You're great.
This is
he's a great guy. Just don't
Yeah.
do anything you
Which
ask.
is how I ended up on a blind date at the Chinese embassy. So
I'm telling you, they were trying to recruit you to their spy network.
So he's like, "Hey, I got a ticket to go to the Chinese New Year's party. It's like at the embassy. It's like you want to. It's like I don't really feel like going. Do you want to go?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "Okay, yeah, you're going with Judy. You met her the other day. Her name was Judy, not Judy." But anyway, he's like, "She's the acupuncturist person you met the other day here." He's like, "Yeah, sure."
I believe you.
It's like, yeah. She was a nice lady. Her kid was hilarious. She had like a 7-year-old daughter.
Okay.
I don't know if she was like affluential. She was around like places you'd see international people a good bit, but she had like massage and acupuncturist studio. Legit, nothing weird. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Anyway, I got a massage one time. I fell asleep. So it must
was
have
that
been,
good?
It must have been that good. I don't
Nice.
know. I woke up was like, huh? What's going on? It's like, how did I get here? It's like, oh yeah.
They drugged you and put a Huawei chip underneath your skin. That's just my guess. I have nothing
Chinese
to
are
base
listening
this
to
off of.
us now.
They don't need the one under
Live.
your skin where the battery died years ago. They got the chips and all the routers and cell phones,
Listen to everything
whatever.
Anyway. So yeah. Anyway,
Everyone has all the information already.
yeah. Anyway.
They have so much data, they don't know what to do with it.
No. So I go to the Chinese embassy. I like show up in like a suit and tie because it's like, oh, it's an embassy. It's like I go in the suit and tie.
Yeah.
I'm way overdressed. I
And
get
the only
there.
white guy.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm the only white. There's like 2,000 people here. They're all Chinese, maybe a few other Asian varieties, but it's like there are no white dudes. It's like I'm the only one. I'm
It's
you know,
gonna
on
sound
average,
racist.
taller than everyone.
Did you get called round eye?
No.
Damn.
The only other people who weren't like Asian were like locals who were like catering. So,
Okay.
But it was, I don't know, it was kind of entertaining because there's like a lot of ceremony stuff. I didn't understand a word, obviously.
Yes.
I had to sit through a few speeches that I did not understand in Mandarin at all.
It's like going to a Catholic church
Yeah.
thing. It's like clap when everyone else claps, stand up when everyone else stands
I
up.
went to a Greek Orthodox ceremony one time for a,
Oh my
for
God,
a
that
college
sounds
project.
amazing.
And it was actually really cool. And it was really pretty. Like everything's gorgeous and
Yeah.
there's light and smoke and like everything's all the Greek incantations.
Yes.
Not a clue what was going on. Anyway.
Yep.
But it was cool. And I don't know if Judy thought it was a blind date either, but I found out later that that's what Fee, the guy who set me up, was intending it to be. So he was intending it to be a blind date. He was trying to set me up. But the place was chaos because it's like, so all these people are sending, there's like any children like 3 to 5 years old are basically in charge of keeping cups full. So everybody's like, yeah, send the kid on a beer run. Like, so there's just like 3-year-olds running back and forth to the kegs, like getting people their beer. Like,
I mean, it sounds like my childhood. I'm not
Yeah.
going to lie.
so
My dad all the time was just like, hey, go grab me another beer. Thanks.
yeah, it was basically that. So it was just, I don't know, it was just a weird event. That's kind of like, that was pretty early on while I was there. And I told my boss, the federal agent, about it. She was like, yeah, just you didn't do anything weird, right? You didn't tell anybody anything you were supposed to. Okay, cool. Just fill out your contact reports so we have it on record who you spend time with so we can, like, track them. It's basically a way they, like, track people who interact with, like, embassy personnel. So if they see the wrong patterns, they'd be like, oh, this person might be intelligence or whatever, foreign asset. But, I mean, we did that. It's like I got to do a couple little trips while I was there. Went and climbed Mount Cameroon. Like, we did a day hike up it.
Yes.
Me and an intern, we went to like a beach town, and then we found out that some more people from the embassy were in the same town at a beach, what they call the beach house, but it's actually on a cliff with like a staircase going down to the ocean.
Okay.
It's like famous there though. So we went and hung out with them the second day. And then the third day went and did the day hike up Mount Cameroon, which is a live volcano.
That's pretty awesome.
Hadn't erupted in a few years. You could see the last lava flow on the way to the beach, though. You have to the highway comes into this 20-foot tall blockage of lava.
Nice.
That's solidified, and the highway just makes this little U-turn around it, like this little 50-yard. Yeah.
Yes.
But you do this, so we go in from beach level. At the beach house, the water distiller was broken. You don't drink the local water.
Yes, I can
still
understand that.
Drank heavily back then, so I drank mostly vodka the night before, and get we stopped to get water, which equaled 2 little tiny plastic water bottles for everybody the next morning. So we hike up to 9,000 feet from having been at sea level that morning.
Yes, that's.
We started drive into the town, which is about 3,000 or 4,000 feet up, but we hiked up well past the tree line to 9,000 feet. Like, the air is starting to get to you, especially when you're doing it all at once.
These all sounds like very marine things to do.
Yeah. So most of the people only went up to this cap. There's these little shacks for hikers.
Yes.
Yeah. Most people stopped right above the tree line. And me, this Army colonel who had been SF, awesome dude, Colonel Morgan. I think he wasn't a full bird yet. I think he was a lieutenant colonel. He worked for a different office.
Mm-hmm.
This Army, what was she? I think she was I don't remember what she was. She was intel, but she was doing a temporary job for that same office. And the embassy intern, who was had been a college competitive runner.
Okay.
Yeah, she had been a cross-country runner at a very high level at a large college.
Nice.
Yeah. So these are the 3 people that I go the next jump hunt up the mountain with, and they're all pretty good. They also had more water than I did, so I'm severely dehydrated. Altitude's getting to me. By the time we get up to the next cabin, I'm just gonna lay down, guys. It's the guide that's with us, yeah, you want to come look at the cave? And they're all yeah, let's go do that. I'm I'm just gonna lay down for a little while. So the colonel, he was by the time we get back down the mountain, It's like I was really afraid I was gonna have to carry you. It was like you're showing like all the signs of like a casualty going down. Like it was like I was just dehydrated. The altitude was getting to me. Once we got going downhill, it was fine.
Yeah, altitude and dehydration is not a
Yeah.
good mix.
But I had a good time there. Like I got to go on all these little adventures, actually do some fun stuff. I met up with a buddy to go climb Kilimanjaro that year.
Did you do Kilimanjaro?
Yeah, we did Kilimanjaro.
Sweet.
Kilimanjaro was after doing a dehydrated hungover hike, day hike.
That's called
That was like it made
conditioning?
yeah Kilimanjaro, where they actually like hike up and down like you're supposed to. You gain altitude, camp at a lower altitude, do all that.
Yep.
Take it like a 5-day pace to get up there. Like wasn't that bad. So, and it's beautiful. Like that's the coolest sunrises and sunsets I've ever seen.
Nice.
So, anyway.
So is that the largest one on that continent?
Yeah, that's it's like just a little shy of 20K.
Okay.
And it's a standalone, stratovolcano, and it's it is the tallest mountain in Africa. And Mount Cameroon is like 14,000 feet.
Still
it's
respectable.
It's like the tallest one of the tallest ones in West Africa. So
Still respectable.
yeah, I'm sad I didn't get to like do a 2-day and actually summit it, since I could get like at least the tallest mountains on two opposite ends of the continent. Anyway, I also got to do a V-POTUS support down in South Africa while I was there. So got to go hang out at
What is a V-POTUS?
V-POTUS, Vice President of
Oh.
the United States.
I didn't hear the Otis part. I
Oh,
heard
sorry.
VPO. I'm like,
V-POTUS. So that was during the World Cup. So I got to go hang out in South Africa for a few weeks during the World Cup.
nice.
Yeah. So all of us, the guys they sent down there for that support, had all come from like countries with like less first world stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And South Africa is a weird and chaotic place, but it has everything. It's very first world in many ways.
Because it was a Swedish colony?
Dutch.
Dutch, that's what
The
it was.
Dutch and the Brits fought over it. I don't know. It's had a long history. Anyway,
Yeah, I know, like apartheid and
yeah,
stuff like
some
that. I'm
dark
like,
times.
they got some like fun last names there, which are
apartheid,
some.
Boer Wars, lots of fun stuff. Anyway,
Yes. It's not Rhodesia though.
yeah. We got a fun briefing when we got there. The local RSO was like, "Here's your crime briefing and what you need to watch out for." And it's like, man, the crime down here is serious. These guys like, they don't play around. It's like if you're getting robbed, just don't fight back, because they probably have a buddy with a sub gun hiding behind you. Anyway, but
Well then,
we had a great time though. We broke it up into they only sent 3 of us for this one post we had to do. So we broke it into 12-hour shifts so we could have the most time off.
yeah.
And all 3 of us had come with, like I said, slightly more third world countries. So it's like, oh, we have all this great food and we have real Guinness. They have Guinness in Cameroon. It tastes like burnt motor oil. And I don't think it's actually legally associated with the real Guinness in any way. Anyway.
They just like painted the word on there.
Yeah.
Put a harp next to it.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you Cameroon has a decent beer. I don't think they do. Anyway, but
Okay.
that's fine. Anyway, we all had a great time because we all got, hilariously sloshed at one point or another. We all we were living off room service. Like I ended up making a lot of money in my travel claim off of room service and and my bar tab, which got rolled into the room service, and they didn't the hotel didn't separate itemize your
It just
your tab.
says what it is.
They itemized it into dry cleaning and then everything else. So it was like room service was our food. Like, okay, that's legit. And then the bar tab from the hotel, they didn't itemize that separately. It just got rolled into your room service, so it didn't say alcohol or anything. So it was like, oh. So
That was mighty nice of them.
yeah. So I got my entire bar tab paid for on that trip, which was...
Wait, my tax dollars paid for your bar tab? How dare you? Good job.
You're proud of me.
I am very proud.
Yeah, no,
That is excellent use of my tax money, actually.
Yeah, anyway, that was fun. So my last post was Oman. Oman's an interesting country. It's super safe.
Oman?
Oman, Sultanate of
Right next to
Oman.
Yemen.
Yeah, right next to Yemen. Oh, man. Anyway, I I don't know. It's odd. It's it's a Muslim country. It's kind of modern. It's pretty conservative, but it's also got some. They don't mind there being bars at the resorts and stuff.
Okay.
I think the only time we were legitimately the only bar in town was during Ramadan.
Are they an OPEC country? Like they produce oil?
They do produce a lot of oil.
Then they probably know how to like butter the bread of the businesmen they deal with. So that's probably why they're like, yeah, kind of blind eye.
Yeah, they aren't nearly as big as like Saudi and and UAE.
Yeah.
A lot of the other countries are making way more oil. They're also have been trying to like find other businesses though for quite a while. To like, the old Sultan was pretty smart. He died a while back.
Okay.
And he was trying to like find ways to make money for the country long term that were sustainable past oil, because he's like, we just don't want to count on it forever. So we don't know.
Probably can't.
It might not last forever. So it might be the Earth might be producing it faster than we think it does. It may not be all like actual dino juice. We don't know. Whatever. He's like, but we're not counting on it. So anyway, Oman's a cool place. I made a lot of friends there. Most of my friends ended up being Indian expats.
Nice.
So they're awesome. Got to do some adventure stuff there, fun. Go hike some wadis and whatnot. Went four-wheeling for the first and last time ever, and that's how I dislocated my elbow.
Which is
another one of those things. Like
four-wheelers aren't as stable as you think they are.
Yeah, no, especially in soft sand.
I could see that.
I told you the one girl, she broke her arm because she was mountain biking and didn't know how to ride a bike. Well, they let me loose on a Grizzly 500 because it had an auto transmission, and I didn't know how to I didn't feel like learning the real normal ones. So big four-wheeler, and I ended up totaling it nearly. Wrecking it before I hurt myself. And to replace it, they replaced it with a Grizzly 750, like a bigger engine.
Yeah, because, they're more stable.
Yeah. So I took it easy for a while, and then my deck commander was like, let's race.
Nice.
And, we're racing around, and he's like, let's do donuts. And, we're doing donuts, and suddenly my four-wheeler just, eats in and just, flips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and... So, I wasn't even going that fast, and...
Do you want to hear a worse one than that?
But no, the wreck I had that totaled the other four-wheeler, though, I had a helmet cam on, and I wish I still had the footage from this, but you, just in the corner of the frame, you can see that, it throws me at one point, and you see the four-wheeler land at my feet and bounce over, right over me.
Oh.
It was like, I almost died. Let's go get another one.
These are like candy from the store. You can just get a new one.
This makes what we did in the tractor earlier seem more sane.
But it's not the dumbest thing I've ever done.
No, not at all. So
it was a stable platform to stand on.
Yeah,
it's just the bucket of a tractor.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you for that. I needed a second person for that. So
after I figured out what we were doing, I'm like, this makes total sense. Why you need two people for this?
I didn't want to do it from a ladder. It would.
I wouldn't want to climb up along the tree to do it that way either. I'm like, that's kind of shady also.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not a professional arborist. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, stand in a tractor bucket and do it from there. So,
that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect sense.
I would have landed at that conclusion too if I had a tractor. I'm like, I need to cut down this thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a work platform.
Yeah, exactly. I should probably get forks for it, pallet forks, so I make a better platform. But
yeah.
Anyway, what were you asking? You were asking something.
We were talking about your M.S.G time and all the fun stuff you did there. So
anyway, it was a good time. Met a lot of awesome people.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it because, M.S.G was a little more, I guess, important to me than Ospreys. So, because I told you I was a missionary. I told you I was a missionary kid, right?
I've probably heard this, but it's one of those things where it's it's just Babs. He's this.
Yeah, he's the weird homeschool kid.
Do you know how many weird homeschool kids we had, though?
They're awesome. You know what? Homeschoolers aren't that bad.
It's really not.
Some parents just do a bad job of getting their kids, some social activities so they remember how to be social. Anyway, so I grew up in Kenya.
Okay.
Up until I went to we moved back here when I was 12.
All right.
And then we went to public school. So I grew up in Kenya. We left like right before the embassy got blown up there.
Do you think I know this?
Yeah. So I don't know. For some reason, that made M.S.G. really important to me, even though I didn't know anybody who died or anything.
Right. But it like imprinted on you
imprinted
somehow.
it to me. It's also why like when 9/11 happened, I was in high school, and I was in the media class, so we had control of all the TVs in the school.
Yeah.
It was like a switchboard kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah. And like I see like we have a couple news channels just going because we had TVs in that room. And it's like I'm like, oh, that's important. I just start like flipping on TVs, like everyone's watching this, like without asking permission. But it was like as soon as it happened, it's like, oh, Osama Bin Ladin is back.
So,
I was like, why should a 16-year-old ever know that? And it was like 30.
Wait, so you know who Bin Laden was? Like,
yeah, I knew it would be like the second that it was like showing live on TV, and it was like another 30 minutes before any news channel was like, oh, we suspect it was Osama Bin Laden, and I'm like, called it.
that is wild.
It was like, yeah,
'Cause, like,
it's not like I knew like a lot of like.
I'm pretty sure that day is the first time I heard those like syllables in that order, or I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck's an Osama Bin Laden?
Yeah. It's like, so I knew that as like a 16-year-old. It's like, and that was like the only big like international news thing I had like followed. It's not like I was some like savant following like all this stuff around the world. I just happened and was like, oh, he's back.
He never left.
Like
Osama's been plotting, more like. That's what it was.
so.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I was in gym class, and then they like put us all in study halls, and like the first tower was hit.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, so they like put everyone in like study halls, and then I watched the second tower come in, and then that's when they bust everyone home after school.
Oh,
Or
okay.
for like the day. It's like, all right, school's out. And we're just like, all right.
Yeah.
In between there, I made a lot of really bad jokes because that's how I cope with things.
That's fair.
Got yelled at a few times.
I understand. It's okay. We have dark humor, all that.
Yes. So I was made for the military because of my dark humor, I guess. Or I'm getting Alzheimer's.
Or that's childhood trauma speaking.
I mean, everyone in my family uses dark humor, though. Like, parents, aunts, and uncles. It's like, it's kind of just like, oh, yes, like, this is just how we tell jokes.
Yeah. So, my family did not do that. So, I guess I'm a little bit of a dark horse.
Everyone's got to have a black sheep.
Anyway. So, yeah. Anyway.
So MSG was important to you because
Yeah,
of
that was important to me. So,
Kenya
like, when I joined, it's like I just wanted to get promoted. Like, I had 3 goals. It was like, okay, somebody told me goal setting was important. It's like, okay, I'll make some goals. It's like,
Okay.
I want to make at least a corporal because my recruiter, I think he was a grunt. He made it sound like it was really hard to get promoted that far.
I wanted corporal because I wanted the blood stripe.
Yeah. You mean the beating or the actual, like, on your uniform?
On my uniform.
Oh,
like,
okay,
I
no.
wanted, like,
Okay.
well, I didn't know I was going to get the beating. I just knew that, like, NCOs and above got the blood stripe on the dress blues. And I'm like, that is the way to look good in dress blues because that is the most important part of being a Marine
it
is
makes it
looking
pop.
good.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got the hair for it, too. So, unlike me.
Well, I mean, having hair is important to having good hair.
You have great hair, though. Anyway.
I got lucky.
Yeah.
Speaking of hair, so
Yeah.
was your mother's father bald?
I don't know. He died when my mom was a teenager. The only picture I've
okay.
seen of him, I think he had hair in. So
Okay, because I've heard it's your mother's
I've
father.
heard that too, but most of the bald people are on my dad's side of the family.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I made too much fun of my dad and uncles on that side, I guess, for their baldness when I was a kid,
Okay.
and it hit me super early. So because I started shaving my head out of laziness.
I remember you like having a fully just accepted I'm shaving my head because lean into it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I started out because I was lazy, and shaving in my head a few minutes times a week was way easier than spending
$10 every Sunday.
$10 every Sunday and an hour or 3 every Sunday.
Waiting in line
Waiting in
because
line at a
everyone was
barber.
doing it at 7 o'clock that night. Like, oh
Yes.
fuck!
Even when I did it early in the afternoon, like out in town, there was like a barber who was really good that took their time with everybody's haircut.
The Little Blue Hut by Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, it was like 3 black guys.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was called. Yes.
Marine Barber Shop.
Yeah.
That was its name.
Those guys were good.
And it was the Little Blue Hut. And they did it in like
They also
20,
did like
30
the
minutes.
hot razor, like oh yeah.
I loved that place.
And the price, like they cost more than the like cheap haircut on base, but it wasn't bad.
It was like $12.
Yeah,
I
no,
say.
yeah.
Something where of like I would pay that now for a haircut. I'd be like,
For the effort, those guys.
is this a drug front?
No, those guys were awesome. I would watch them like Marines would come in with like their little kids, like
Yeah.
their little boys, and they would put like the same effort into like an adult man's hair, like little kid's haircut as they did like an adult's. Like
I remember the smaller guy
those
that
guys
was
were awesome.
there. He like did 4 or 5 years in the Marines, so he
Okay.
was a Marine.
yeah,
But like the other 2 guys that were there, they were nice. They were cool.
yeah.
I liked them.
I went to a couple of other barber shops, and a lot of them sucked. Like those guys always like, whether you had good hair or not, they always put like premium effort into it, and
Yeah.
like, you got a sharp haircut. So
Basically, when I
anyway, too
got
much effort though.
to the squadron,
Yeah.
I was told this is where you go for a haircut.
Yeah.
Get there first thing in the morning on Saturday, or else you're fucked.
Yeah, yeah. I think I went on like Saturday or Sunday, and I always sat there for like an hour or two, and it was worth it because it was a 3-hour wait on base. So
And
For
it
a-
wasn't as good.
yeah. Anyway, so I started out of laziness, and then I like started growing it back one time, and it was like, oh, it's not like. It's like retreated. It's running away. it's like I've only been shaving for like a year. What happened? It's retreated. Well, I guess I'm shaving now.
Yep.
And 16 years later, like, here I am.
Accept it.
Yeah,
It's better to just accept it and lean into it than try to like do any of those like weird comb over things or like
that's I have family members who do that still. Like, there's
Have
like
the
very little left
horseshoe,
on the
like-
middle, and it's a weird comb over.
Although one of my all-time favorite things I've ever seen is there's he's a musician basically. Like has several like pretty famous bands. His name is Devin Townsend.
Okay.
He's from Canada. He's absolutely insane, like on medicine insane, like from
Okay.
doing a lot of psychedelics. So he has like, the classic horseshoe pattern thing, and one of his bands
Reverse or regular horseshoe?
the bald at the front like goes to
Okay,
like
yeah.
the back.
Okay.
Like, and so when he had his bands like that 2010 time frame, the band was called Strapping Young Lad.
Okay.
Amazing heavy metal band. If you're not into heavy metal, you won't like it.
Yeah.
But during that time frame, he had that horseshoe pattern thing and then long hair, and he called it the skullet. So skull on top, mullet in the back.
Anyway,
Yeah, I think we were just talking about the skullet, and
yeah, skullet.
fantastic.
That's, you got to be confident to pull that off.
He was very confident about
Should be,
that,
so.
and then he's ended that band, started a new band. He's like changing everything, and now he's leaned into it and razors the head. I'm like,
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So luckily, I at least have a half decent head shape for the shaved head. I don't have it not too weirdly knobby or anything.
You don't have a sponson head?
Sponson. Is it like a? Do you have like a huge back skull?
No, it just like normal skull shape, and then it like kind of sponsoned out on both sides weirdly. But he was bald too, and he's just like he was an Avi kid. He was my roommate
Yeah,
for like a week, and I'm like, I don't like
I can
you.
picture his face. I didn't remember his name, but I remember his face. Yeah.
Sponson head. He called himself that, and first time I heard it, I'm like, Sponson head. That's a good one.
Wow. I don't remember him saying that. Maybe I didn't talk to him. I don't know. I didn't get to know everybody as well as I should have. There's some AVI guys I got to know. Some of them I didn't. I don't know.
I knew a few.
So, but anyway, so yeah,
Yeah.
so I spent a lot of money on razors.
You could spend a lot of money on haircuts.
Yeah. So, anyway,
Sounds like it would even out.
yeah. What else do we need to know?
So you did that, and
Oh,
what'd you do after the Marines?
lots of random stuff. So I went to art school because I don't know why. I guess because I went to public school and didn't get to take any art classes. Because I went
Okay.
to a hillbilly poor public school. I was like, and I guess I thought it would be like cathartic or something.
I had the opposite thing, but my
Yeah.
school mascot is the hillbilly.
Yeah. So anyway, hear Ember making some noise in there, so she's gonna have to get up soon. Anyway,
All right, we'll end this soon then.
yeah. Sorry. Basically, I went to art school because I guess I thought it'd be cathartic or some great learning experience. And also, I was planning on just going back into the federal government. I was planning on doing the RSO job, joining diplomatic security.
Okay.
Like, I was like, a couple of the agents, like, some of them had degrees that made sense. Some of them were like, well, nobody cares what your degree is if you have experience. So they're like, yeah. It's like, we'll give you recommendations to, like, come back after you finish a degree and, like, there's open spots for you to apply. And about the time that spots actually opened up again, they were closed out for a long time.
Uh-huh.
And then about the time they, about the time it was like, oh, I could apply again. I was also realizing, like, I was getting serious with Rachel.
Okay.
We'd been dating for a little while, and it was like, I really like this woman, and if this goes places, that is not a family-friendly job. They have a super high divorce rate.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to find something else to do. It's like, I don't have any backup plans. I was just going to, like, do, like, I was, like, looking at some contract work to, like, fill in while I was waiting for federal spots to open up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to, like, a contract thing out in East Africa, doing some security stuff. And it was like, yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. So I was like, I had no plans for, like, being local and, like, having family-friendly jobs. I never thought about it.
Okay.
Anyway, so I, like, did that, and so I, like, floundered around for a while. It's like I tried selling insurance. That was the worst thing I've ever done, for a shady company, too. So, as it turns out, I didn't realize they were shady. It was a life insurance company. It's the most soul-sucking thing I've ever done in my life. I lost months of worths of savings, funding myself because I didn't make any money.
Oh, okay.
They lied to me about a bunch of stuff, too. Anyway, let's see, what did I do? From there, I, like, did some, like, I filled in doing some helping Rachel's dad do some, like, construction stuff for cash for a little while I was, like, looking for a new job. Then I found a job doing doing fire systems and stuff, pipe work, and did that. We did that for a while until we got into a house, and we were both looking for, like, she was working at a warehouse at a company. Actually, I also worked at a warehouse right after college as, like, a fill-in job.
Okay.
Doing product photography. That's where I met Rachel. And it was like, we needed, like, adult jobs, I guess, that made better money.
Yeah.
And an old roommate from Nashville had been telling me about this school called Nashville Software School for, like, a while. And he's like, I think you'll be good at this. And he had just gone to it, too. But he's like, I think you'd, like, be good at coding. And I don't know, in my head, I was like, you got to be, like, a rocket scientist to, like, code things. You got to be, like, a mathematician or something smart, And it turns out you really don't. You just have to be stubborn to learn it. Which, if I have any skill in life, I am good at being stubborn. Like, that's probably my number one skill. Anyway, so I went to this Nashville Software School. It was like a boot camp, like 6 months of intensive. I had enough GI Bill left to cover it.
Okay.
Which was good. They took GI Bill at the time. And so I got into, like, a full stack software developer job. Then Rachel went right after I did. And we survived, like, 6 months on until she got hired right out of there with a really good job.
Nice.
And while I was doing a $20 an hour intern job, which ironically was way better paid than I got paid doing fire systems.
Which sounds normal, actually.
Yeah, it sounds normal unless you talk to union people. Then they're like, you only got paid how much?
Yeah.
That's pathetic.
I don't see really Tennessee being the biggest union state, though.
No, it's not. Not at all. It's just especially when I talk to people who've done construction in, like, northern unions, though. They're like, you only got paid how much? It's like,
oh, yeah.
I apprenticed for some random trade, and I started out at, like, $100K a year.
Dude, if you want to know something that's
$14.50 an hour, and I was making way more than everyone else.
Linemen, their union, like, dude, holy
linemen should make good money.
Yeah, but like, so you go to a school, you get into a union, and basically the union just guarantees that they will keep you working. Mm-hmm. They won't tell you where you're going to be working, though. Like, but they will get you a job. So, like, if you're from here in Tennessee, you get into the lineman union because, like, you go to a school for it. It's like a year, 6 months to a year, I want to say.
Yeah.
They won't, be like, well, we're going to get you a job with a power company in Tennessee. They're like, all right, man, we got you a job. You're going to Minnesota. Like, it's just like, oh, that's wild.
Yeah, in the winter.
Because, like, I know some guys, like, because there's National Grid's the power company up by me. They're like, they go to the school, they do whatever, and they're like, I want to get in with National Grid. And, like, some of them get into National Grid because there's a National Grid in my town, and some of them don't.
Yeah.
They go other places.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway. I was also looking at, like, older guys, and it was like when I decided that job just wasn't going to go places because one of the, what do you call them, supervisors? What are those?
Supervisors.
I don't know, supervisor. Anyway, he was like, the guy who was running the truck, and he was like, yeah, this is a really good job, man. He's like, you can make 50+ grand a year, even at your level. All you got to do is work every weekend. And get all,
Fuck
work
that.
12 hours a weekend of overtime every weekend. It's like, I'm married. I'm trying to, like,
No,
invest
thank
in
you.
my family too. And I was just like, yeah, this isn't going to go anywhere. So I went to the software school. I've done full stack development for, like, it was a healthcare company, like an old enterprise app that was ugly. Realized I had enough artsiness in me that I hated it. So took a little bit more training in, like, UX and product design. Worked as a UX engineer for a healthcare company, building like a library of code for other developers to use. And then I went to work for my current company, which owns a ton of products. Any digital product you can think of that, like a marketing company, like not a marketing company, a nonprofit or a church or something would use, any kind of nonprofit, they own a product for that, whether it's personnel management or background checks or, like, anyway, I've been doing web development for them for years.
Nice.
And it's awesome because it's remote. That's originally why I went there, is because it was remote.
Sweet.
It was, and I got remote, like, right before, well, everybody started going remote in 2020, but
I don't know why.
yeah, anyway. Because people freaked out about a thing that probably wasn't worth freaking out about as bad as they did. To be fair, though, I know some doctors who, like, got really nerdy in the research on stuff, and they were like, we don't know how bad this is going to be. They're like, they thought it was, they were like,
That part I did believe at the beginning. We're like, we have no fucking clue.
yeah.
And I'm like, all right.
Well, early on, people were like, is this a weapon? Is this, like, is it just a, we don't know what this is. So I don't blame people for freaking out originally. The politicization
Politicalness.
just got weird on all directions. Scout, shush. Hey. Oh, you'll listen to him. Traitor.
I'm really good at dog whistles.
Apparently. I'm gonna let it real quick. Maybe. Come on, outside. So, anyway, so that's what I'm doing. I'm a web developer. It's not super exciting,
I mean,
but it lets me work remote and live here. So, you know, on this nice little slice of greenery in Tennessee.
Yes.
Yeah, so. And Rachel's also a software developer now. She's way smarter than me, makes me way more money.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah, so she wears the pants.
There's no problem with that.
Yeah.
It's only a problem if you have a problem with it.
Right.
And if you do, you're sexist.
So. Anyway. So
that's what you've been up to and all
Yes.
that fun stuff.
yeah, I feel like there's so much we're leaving out. But once again, I'm a horrible storyteller.
Well, I mean, if you want, this can just be like
We should.
number one, and like as you remember things, we can like put it down in a note, and we can.
Well, I should interview you for one of these. Somebody should, or maybe Ryan should interview you for one of these.
Ryan and Leroy should like gang interview me.
Oh.
And like that's the thing is like I wanna sit down with Ryan on one, I wanna sit down with Leroy for a separate one, but I also wanna sit down with both of them at the same time.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Okay.
Because I feel like that one would just be fun.
Yeah. If you're feeling really brave, you could open yourself up for a roast episode. Get a bunch of people on board.
And just have them make fun of me.
Yes.
I feel like it would de-evolve into everyone making fun of everyone, which would be fantastic. And the most hilarious thing,
Yeah.
possibly unusable for human consumption outside of our friend
That probably
group.
wouldn't be safe for life.
No, but it would be the best thing because like we could all just like go back and listen to it and laugh when
do
we're
it as
like
like a
90.
Google meeting or something. Like,
Oh God, it would be great.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I know Ryan wanted to do, like, a reunion a while back.
Yes, so right before 2020.
Yeah, yeah. But I think he was talking about, like, Vegas.
Yep.
And it's just like, man, I know that'd probably be easy for some people. I would not be able to make that. I have a kid.
Well, the reason he wanted to do it in Vegas is one,
It's a neutral zone.
it's neutral. You can get flights there easily for like most people. Like, it's pretty easy to get to. Like, because Vegas runs flights there. Southwest, you can get a flight there pretty cheap and easy and fast. And like, there's stuff to do. Like, if you're like, I don't want to do like this like thing with all you guys this night. I want to do something else.
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted to bring your wife, like, there's shows.
Yeah.
Like, there's other things to do in Vegas, and we could find like a convention place.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna
that
say,
would host us.
It's not the same, but if you you might want to, if you wanted to pitch the idea of a giant group thing, you could probably do like a. We don't have to even do it as an episode. I was gonna say you could do an episode, or you could just like do that sometime.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been good seeing you. So
Yeah. I mean,
you're one of my more favorite people. There's a lot of people I didn't like. It's true. Not.
I think we all had that.
Well, like you and Ryan kind of like adopted me earlier on than when like we were still like really new to the unit.
Okay.
So, yeah. Like when you showed up and like took me to the bar when I was underage, like it was like, oh, I've been accepted by a senior person. Because at that point we were
someone with authority. I had none.
Well, no, but you know what I mean. Like we were still like getting treated like we were brand new, and we were still like, oh, you guys are on pigeon crap cleaning duty. Like, we were still
we had all been there though.
Yeah, I know that was like tradition, but we were still like at that phase, and it was like,
Yep.
It was like, oh, I'm transitioning past the phase of pigeon crap guy to being accepted.
Yeah.
So.
That was the thing.
Yeah. Pigeon crap cleaning.
Oh God.
They probably should have been wearing like respirators or something for that.
Full hazmat suits?
Yeah, I don't know. There's no way that breathing in that mountains of pigeon crap dust is good for
the
you.
Mountains of pigeon crap dust, all those cockroaches that infested that area too. Just
biohazard, I mean, it's probably not any worse than any of the other stuff we were breathing in.
But still, like, I've heard, like, bird shit is, like, something really bad for you. I forget what.
Like, probably is. But,
oh, God.
Were you there when that aircraft caught on fire? I'm sure. Well, okay, that's not very specific. I know you weren't on the ERT response. Nixon and Bates did, like, an awesome job.
I might not have been there.
I think it might have been right after you left. But
if Nixon and Bates were on it and I don't remember it, like I would have. I wasn't there.
They like knocked the response out of the park.
Good.
I don't think I handled it as well because I think it was like my first like real emergency like response. I don't remember something happened and I didn't feel like I did a good job with it. But Colonel Gold like gave us awards. He wanted it to be like NAMS, like it was, and that was. Mostly Nixon and Bates doing a really good job with it.
I got a NAM like the day I got out.
Yeah, but
literally.
I remember Colonel Gold like came in the shop and like made us stand at attention to read us like a letter of appreciation or something.
By the way, Byers wrote my NAM.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got a NAM because of Byers.
Nice. But
thanks, Nick.
Yeah, I remember. But Colonel Gold, he like came in the shop. He's like this. He's like, I wanted this to be a NAM. He's like, I'm gonna make you stand at attention for this if I read this. Because he felt like we did a good job. It was like, oh, okay, I didn't feel like we did a good job. I felt like Bates and Nixon did a good job.
Well, I'm glad those two did.
But, no.
Because they got shit on by the entire unit every day.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's probably why we didn't get NAMs, is because hazmat, we were involved, and we were the black sheep of the squadron.
It's probably just they saw those two names. It's like a private and a...
Yeah, and no staff NCO was involved, so, anyway... A lot of dudes got sprayed with halon out there. I'm trying to remember. It was one of the dudes from Flyline ended up getting I think he got medically separated because of damage it did to his lungs. Because it's halon, right? The giant fire.
Yeah, there was halon in there. The other thing that's damaged to your lungs is actually breathing in the carbon fiber.
Well, yeah, that too. He might have gotten some of that in. It was like a considerable amount of smoke that came out of that thing. But a couple of guys I had to. It wasn't that it was a different incident where guys breathed in some halon. I had to drive him to the hospital because I was on duty. I had to drive him over to Lejeune. But I remember that one. It was like somebody in Flightline, I think, got medically separated because their like lungs were screwed up after that.
I'm not surprised, but also fuck.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, we all breathed in a bunch of nasty stuff in that shop.
Oh yeah.
It was there was a, I think she was admin. There was a female staff sergeant. She was pregnant. And she like walked into the shop to like, she had to like give us some like mini class on something. I don't remember what it was. I have no idea what it was about.
Okay.
And she was there for like 30 seconds. She was like, "Can we need to leave this room." She's like, we're like, "Why?" She's like, "The chemical smells." Like, "What chemical smells?" She's like, "It reeks in here."
I've
It's
had
like,
that many times.
I feel like this is going to endanger my unborn child. Like, we're like, "Huh, I don't even smell it anymore."
Is that bad? Have I gone nose blind?
I don't even smell this anymore.
It's just acetone. You're fine. You put it on your nails.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like we wash our hands in this stuff. It's good.
Oh man, yeah. 90% of the smell though was acetone, which isn't horrible.
No, it's not all that bad. So,
well, I mean, we've been at this for near 2.5 hours.
yes, and
Your daughter's up. We should probably end this. Do you have any last minute thoughts you'd like to say?
I wish. I'm brain dead now.
Okay.
In case I don't see you again after today, anytime
You'll
soon.
still
I
hear
love
from
you,
me.
I
love
wanna
you
tell
too,
that,
man.
bro. It's true. I'm sorry I haven't caught up before this.
I'm just as bad.
Yeah, I know. So
And like part of this is to like catch back up with everyone and get everyone like talking more too.
I think part of it's like a lot of times when I'm like, "Oh man, I kind of like want to catch up with this person." I'm like, "Oh, it's been so long." And, like I feel bad. like, it's like, and then I'm like, "No, I can't do it."
Maybe the ending thought should be, don't be weird, call your friends.
Don't be weird. Call your friends.
They miss you too, and they
Who else? So who else all are you planning on like talking to?
going to Byers' house tomorrow.
Did you already do his interview, or are you going to do that while you're there?
I'm probably going to do it while I'm there, unless we just get sidetracked too hard, and then like we'll do it over the phone.
Okay.
Basically, whoever's open,
Okay.
like get a hold of me, and we'll figure something out. Yeah, I got a few planned.
Do you still talk to Andrushak at all?
No, I was actually looking him up, trying to get a hold of him.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should try to get.
If I can definitely get a hold of him and talk to him, I will.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm going to.
I'd like to hear his perspective.
I'm going to do Ryan and Leroy next time I go back down to North Carolina, which is probably going to be this summer. Don't quote me on the dates or times. I just know I want to.
Yeah.
So I probably will because I'm pretty free and open. And I brought my girlfriend down there once, and she met them.
Yeah.
So that was a nice starter to the relationship and how crazy my friends are. And she's just like, I can see why you're friends with these people.
Yeah.
And so those two will get done, but I want to do them in person. Otherwise, I would have done them on the phone by now. But like, if I can do,
If you're gonna see them anyway, just wait till you can do it in person. So
Basically-
the recording will come out better. I hope anyway.
it sounds
see.
massively better
Okay.
if like this than it does over the phone.
Yeah.
Because like the quality goes down. I can't explain why, but like if I can do you in person, I will, and I will wait to do you in person. And so like that's why when this came up,
With
I'm like,
consent, right?
I mean, I can't get you to talk without consent.
Oh, okay. I guess. Okay.
But yeah. So like that's why when this came up, I'm like, gotta get Babs in person. Want to do it in person. Like I'd just rather would. Because like looking at you, hearing things, like being able to like see your face while I do it, I actually much more engaged than like phone where I'm like kind of wandering in and out for a second like I do in a normal phone call. And I'm like, oh fuck, what were we saying?
Oh, well, I mean, like as a remote person, like I've been working remote for a while. There are some things that are just way harder to communicate when you're like over the phone.
Yes,
I will
agree.
fully admit that when I was in an office full time, if we had way too many meetings, but like we had way more than we needed to. But there was a lot of stuff where it was like we could really like thoroughly hash things out in person.
Yes.
Whereas when you're doing it like remote and everybody's like all doing their own thing, you gotta like get a short meeting together, and then if people aren't super organized, it's like things just don't communicate well. That's work, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's just harder. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm glad you stopped by. You're always welcome here, by the way.
I don't know when the next time I'll be in Tennessee is because like both of our jobs are ending for this one, so I'm like, crap. Yeah, I know I'm going back to the Northeast.
Yeah. I was gonna say if you want to bring a pew pew with you next time, we can shoot, do stuff.
Don't have to threaten me with a good time.
Yeah. We can shoot clays out here like safely. Like there's enough range you can like 270 degrees you can shoot shotguns safely.
Sweet.
You got to be like pretty careful with rifles to shoot into my little wood pile berm down there, but you know. Yeah. So like I've shot clays out here a few times.
Yeah, I saw them on the path.
Yeah. That's after we cleaned up, so
Okay.
we didn't do a very good job. So
Well, you still picked them up.
yeah. There wasn't a proper brass call. So
Who cares?
there was a guy from my group at church who he had what he called a diaper party. It was like the men's version of a baby shower.
Okay.
So basically, we just brought in boxes of diapers and we shot a bunch of guns off of another guy's back porch.
I can respect that.
It was amazing, because it was just like a bunch of dudes just brought out their favorite toys, and
Yes.
we bought a bunch of boxes of clays, and
Yes.
and just shot the crap out of it. I had to leave before cleanup, unfortunately. I feel a little bad about that.
You mean fortunately?
Fortunately, well, I feel a little bad, but fortunately, yes.
I helped make the mess. Bye.
It's like I ate barbecue and shot a lot, but it was a lot of fun.
So basically, you made them all jealous.
Yeah. No, a couple people had to leave early, so it's not a big deal. Like, but I was gonna say, like, it's fun. So I've really enjoyed shooting clays lately, though. It's just kind of like a fun way to shoot things. Have you tried shooting clays before? Have you done that? Like,
Ryan tried to teach me and show me
Yeah.
when we were in, so like over 15 years ago, and like I couldn't get the hang of it. I have one of my managers is like at my company now is like he was just raised on bird hunting and clay shooting, like so that's his thing, and like he's told me that I'm probably so ingrained from point and click rifles that it's going to take a lot to teach me. Or at least get me out of like batter habits.
So I've never shot like professional like clay, like where you go to an actual like nice range and they do the.
He's into it.
Yeah. I've never done that. Like it's just like we just get a launcher and like start chucking them out and people shoot them. It's like point it a little bit that way, point a little bit that way, or stand over here to get like different angles and stuff.
Yeah, he told me like a lot of it is like coaching the feel of it, not because you can't really like teach it. It's like how far did you leave? It's like I don't know, I just was.
Yeah. So it's like I started getting better when I started shooting shotgun both eyes open, which I was already doing with like rifles and pistols anyway.
Yes.
But when I realized I wasn't doing it with shotguns, like that made me better. It's just being more instinctive.
Okay.
So, but like the shotgun fit I found helps a lot though, because I have my granddad's like Wingmaster.
All right.
And it fits me perfectly, or at least feels like it does. I don't really know how shotgun's supposed to fit, but it feels like it fits nicely. And I can hit tons of stuff with that. My wife has a little 20 gauge that's like a youth stock size because she has short arms, because she's not a tall person. And
okay,
when I use that, I can hardly hit anything. So, and I've hit stuff with a friend's like stockless shotgun before. I had a friend with like the Shockwave, it's like a little pistol grip, and I've hit stuff with that.
Nice.
And it's like her shotgun is like this nice over-under, just like a short stock though for youth size, and I can barely hit anything with it.
Body mechanics does play a large part.
So it's just, I don't know, I think it's partly fit and just like learning to just like feel it out. So anyway, that's very detoured.
Very detoured, and still we're going to go back to that ending point of call your friends, they miss you.
Yeah, call your friends, they miss you. I'll try to follow
and you
advice.
miss them.
Yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, I think...
Sayonara? Well, you're not leaving yet.
No.
You're not going to leave yet, are you? Okay, but we can wrap... What do we do how do you wrap this thing up?
Goodbye!
Goodbye!
And then we press the button.